Ladies and gentlemen, late October is here. It is getting cold outside. Fall is ending. Football playoffs are starting. But today, there's going to be two teams that are red hot in Class 5A for a big-time first-round matchup. It's the Decatur Macarthur Generals taking on the Metamora Redbirds here at Malone Field in Metamora. And hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's broadcast. I'm Jonathan Michael here alongside Dalton Carmine. Dalton, really exciting that we're going to see two teams today coming in playing their best football. They've both won 5 in a row.
Yes, absolutely. And this Decatur Macarthur team especially, starting the season 1-3, really turned things around. And that's the huge thanks to Myson Johnson Cook, big 6'3", 205-pound freshman running back with offers from Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois, Penn State. He's racking up Big Ten offers, collecting them like Pokemon cards. It's going to be incredible to watch him and the Generals take on the Redbirds today.
It certainly will, and both these offenses are clicking really well. Metamora has averaged 49 points per game in their last 5 games, all of which they've won, including a 26-21 thriller against Dunlap last week. Macarthur, they've scored 53.8 in their last 4 games, so we could see a shootout here today at Malone Field.
Absolutely, and this is the perfect time for your offense to click. You want to put a bunch of points up on the board as quick as possible in these IHSA playoff games, and especially for Macarthur. You're playing in a hostile environment. This is going to be one of the loudest games of the year. You want to put up points quick and really put your foot down and say, we're not here to mess around. We're here to win a football game and move on.
It's certainly, that's always the key for a road team, is coming in, not maybe acting like you own the place, but acting like you belong. This Macarthur team trying to make a deep playoff run after a first-round exit to Peoria High last year. But let's talk about Metamora, Dalton. Obviously, for them, it all starts on the ground as well. We're going to see lots of good running today. For them, it starts with their sophomore running back, Jadon Cranford, and a great, experienced offensive line.
Jadon Cranford, absolutely incredible weapon for this Redbird squad. And as you said, that offensive line is very physically huge and also very experienced, which counts a lot when you get to these IHSA playoffs. That O-line has really paved the way, both figuratively and literally, for this Redbird squad to have multiple 300-plus yard games throughout the season.
Certainly is. They had 298, almost got the 300 mark last week. Macarthur had 315 rushing yards last week. We could see a duke it out on the ground battle. Also could see both teams throw it through the air as well. Nick Rose of Metamora and Cameron France of Macarthur, two very good quarterbacks to keep an eye on. Playmakers all over the field as Metamora's size and tradition versus Macarthur's speed and talent. Who's going to come out on top? It should be a great game here in Class 5A here on Clutch Sports Media.
Central Illinois, we're going to overtime. After 4 years of preps coverage in Central Illinois, Clutch Sports Media is ready for a new era. CSM Overtime.
What is CSM Overtime? We're going beyond the broadcast to give you in-depth coverage of your teams,
Your stories.
Your stats and standings.
your highlights and action shots.
With your subscription, you'll get to see news and feature stories from all sports, up-to-date stats from around the area, and thoughtful analysis from our team of experts.
As for our broadcast and social media coverage, it's only getting better.
With your support of Clutch Sports Media Overtime, we'll continue to grow our free broadcast coverage with more sports, more games, and more innovation.
And thanks to our partnership with Too Efficient Media, your social media feeds will be filled with Central Illinois' best sights and sounds.
CSM Overtime will also give you access to full galleries from some of the most talented photographers and videographers in our region.
As the new season approaches, it's time for more.
More action.
More stories.
More coverage of all Central Illinois sports. It's Clutch Sports Media Overtime.
and good afternoon, and welcome to Malone Field here in Metamora, Illinois. Right on cue, here come the hometown Redbirds. They are jacked up and ready to go for their first playoff game in the 2023 Class 5A postseason. Good afternoon, everyone. Jonathan Michael and Dalton Carmine here in the booth with you. Glad you're with us on Clutch Sports and Media. And, Dalton, we mentioned this is going to be a really fun game to watch. I think you look at most of the 5A matchups around. This has the potential to be the most fun because of how good these teams are playing at the moment. Unfortunately, one of their seasons is going to have to come to an end here today.
Couldn't have said it better myself, John. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us as well. Really just excited would be a drastic understatement for how I'm feeling right now, and I think everybody in this stadium would back me up. This is one of the best environments across Central Illinois for sure, and we have two really good teams, but really good different teams. Decatur, I would say they have the edge as far as speed and athleticism goes, but Metamora, I mean, their brand of football is just almost unbeatable because they're so smart. They're all extremely well-rounded. There are really no weaknesses on this team, so going to be fun to see the battle on the gridiron today.
Certainly, and Metamora is a team that has a lot of different strengths. Obviously, running the ball we mentioned is one. They also pass the ball pretty good as well. We'll see what Nick Rhodes can do. He was their hero for them last week. As we take a look at last week for both teams, obviously both on 5-game winning streaks. So of course they won MacArthur. Dalton. That was they beat Bloomington, which I think it could have been a toss-up game, but the margin was what was unexpected. 54-10 over the Purple Raiders, who are a Class 6A playoff team. And Metamora, they beat Dunlap 26-21. Nick Rhodes scored the winning touchdown on a fumble recovery and picked it up, ran it into the end zone. And that, by and large, is why Metamora is here today at Malone Field rather than being on the road. They needed to win that game in order to host. Obviously, you really like that anytime you can in the playoffs. You say in your routine, play in front of your home fans, and there's quite a bit of them here at Malone Field here today.
Absolutely, two very wild, very different roads to the playoffs here for both squads. MacArthur, as you mentioned in the intro, starting off their season 1-3, really turning it around, really coming into their own, everything clicking at the right time as we're ready to go.
And Tommy Sopko ready to kick it away. This is going to be an onside to start the game, and the Redbirds are going to recover. No, they don't. Ball goes out of bounds. Whose ball is this going to be? No one really had possession at all.
Looks like a red jersey was right there to fall on it. Went right off his chest and out of bounds. I believe that is going to be MacArthur football. Yes, just across the 50.
A beautiful onside kick there from Tommy Sopko. MacArthur will start with the ball. Let's get a look at our keys to the game, Dalton. For MacArthur, you got to have their speed and smarts. They also got to learn from last year as well, when they lost big time to Peoria High in the first round.
Yeah, both. But everybody on this Decatur MacArthur team that was on that team last year, you think they don't remember that? They absolutely do. They remember the absolute horrible feelings that come with losing a playoff game. They're going to use that as fuel, as fire heading into this one, and hopefully for them beyond this one as well.
Certainly, and for Metamora, they're obviously not in school. It's a Saturday, but they're going to get a geometry lesson today. And as well, they got to have some mental toughness with MacArthur's big plays that we might see a bunch of.
Yeah, you're going to have the big plays when you're playing Decatur MacArthur. It's just going to happen. Not much you could do about it.
And the first play of the game, they're hand off to Myson Johnson Cook, the star freshman running back, and he is going nowhere. In on the tackle for the Redbirds, that was Marshall Vasquez, the senior linebacker.
That's what you got to do if you're Metamora. You got to meet Myson Johnson Cook right at the line as much as you can. It's kind of a situation you can't stop him. You can kind of only hope to contain him because we've seen what he's done to his opponents throughout this season.
Pickup of just one on first down, but good field position here for the Generals. In the backfield is Johnson Cook.
That one's going to be on the Generals.
Yeah, looks like it will be a false start. But the quarterback for MacArthur is Cameron France, returning starter from last year. Only played a handful of games last year, but he was their starter in that first round game against Peoria High. He's got Najir Woods, one of his wide receivers. He's at the bottom of your screen. And Cook with his University of Illinois gloves he sports in the backfield. France drops back, looking deep down the field. Play on the sideline, and is hauled in by MacArthur.
Sam Owens, what a grab there, running hip to hip with his defender. Goes up on his defender's helmet and grabs it, comes down with it. Right into the red zone go the Generals. What a start.
And Owens, I mentioned Woods briefly before that play, but Owens is their star receiver. If the ball's not in the hands of Johnson Cook, it's probably going to be in Owens as they hand off now to their freshman running back, and he is going absolutely nowhere. Ty Dykes in on the stop for Metamora.
Ty Dykes, one of the leading tacklers of this Metamora defense, using that big frame just to be right there and meet the big Myson Johnson Cook right at the line. And as I just said, got to continue to do that if you're Metamora. He's going to get his yards. You're not going to stop him from getting any yards at all. But got to try to meet him at the line of scrimmage as much as you can.
Dykes came into today with 8.5 tackles for loss, 39 total, and 3 sacks. A two-way lineman is just a junior for Metamora. He's so strong in the trenches. Now 2nd and 11 from the 13. 3 wide receivers set for MacArthur. They run a reverse. Here's Owens, and he has nothing but turf in front of him. Touchdown, MacArthur on the first drive of the game. It takes them just 2 minutes, Dalton. And that's how you start the game on the road in the playoffs.
Does not get much easier than that as far as that play goes for the Generals. Absolutely faking every single red jersey out, giving him the little end around there to Owens, taking it into that black end zone for 6. Generals on top.
Set up by that big pass play from France to Owens. Capped off with Owens on the run. PAT is just sneaks over the crossbar. Boy, that one was like if you were playing golf. You're waiting for the ball to fall in the cup, and it just does at the last second. Shout out Tiger Woods at the Masters back in the 2000s. But that one sneaks in. It's MacArthur 7, Metamora 0. And the first 2 minutes here at Malone Field.
Aiden Bruce, the freshman, number 16, is the kicker for this General squad. Just got enough on that one. Counts just the same, luckily.
And let's get a look at our players to watch here this afternoon. Obviously, we mentioned Myson Johnson Cook. But, for Metamora, they also have a stellar underclassman running back as well, and sophomore Jadon Cranford, who we're going to see for the first time here today.
Lots to be excited about if you're a fan of Metamora as far as the future for Cranford. Not the biggest guy, just standing at 5'9", but he's like that guy that just always picks up positive yardage. It doesn't matter what's going on, where they are in the field, what the circumstances surrounding the game are. He always just takes that ball and picks up positive yardage. Not sure how he does it. Definitely with some help from the O-line.
Certainly is. Metamora, they hand it off to Cranford. And Cranford still has the ball, a flag down. How about the trickery from Metamora? This may be coming back, though. And it was out of bounds by just the skin of his teeth. What an odd play. The ball was received by Upman, who then handed it back off to Cranford.
Very strange
This
start.
one's going to be coming back on a, it was either a hold or a block in the back by Metamora, so.
Strange start to this one. Looked like Cranford stepped out of bounds when he got away from all the defender, but doesn't matter. That one is going to come back, flag in the backfield. The ref's talking about it right now.
They are discussing it, but it's probably just more so on where the spot was. Likely Metamora is moving 10 yards behind where the spot was, and they'll start on the 23. Redbird starters on the line from left to right. They got Landon Cowper, Caden Kiefer, Boston Cox, Ty Dykes, Alex Lane. And they have Connor Biddy, Avery Grebner, Kendrick Shaffron at wide receiver. Evan Kyle, Jadon Cranford at running back. Nick Rhodes takes the snap from the shotgun, hands off to Cranford. Out across the 25, and a medium pickup on first down. Cranford will also get some blocking help from his tight ends and H-backs like Sam Begol and A.J. Stone.
Lots of versatility on this Metamora team. Reason why they're as good as they are. As far as QB1 Nick Rhodes goes, I know Metamora is definitely more of a run-first type of offense, and today it's cold. Everybody has to take that into consideration. It's cold. That ball's going to be hard to throw, hard to catch, hard to hold on to. Be interesting to see how much they use that right arm of Nick Rhodes today.
We will see. The conditions are a lot better than they were last night. As Rhodes will throw it here on second down. Hands it to Shaffron, who picks up maybe one before he's brought down by Owens, shy of the 30.
Owens just took that ball into the end zone. He's two-way threat, shooting across the field. not letting Shaffron go anywhere at all. Only pickup of about 1 there on that one.
And you know, Dalton, there's going to be a lot of two-way players on this MacArthur team. A lot of familiar faces from offense. You're going to see on defense as well. Not really a huge roster for the Generals. They bring a 5-man front. And the high snap, and Cranford's got to fall on it. Looks like MacArthur has it instead of Metamora. And it is a scrum. They're going to see whose ball it is. And it may have been Metamora's. I thought for certain that a MacArthur player fell on top of it at first, but it looked like Sam Begol fell on top of it. So really, what that does, you're still going to have to punt the ball away, but it prevents them from getting as good a field position.
Yeah, that really hurts for Metamora. It looked like Cranford was the one to fall on it, but then slipped out of his hands at the last second. There was 2 white jerseys there that I believe, that at least I thought had the ball, but in the scrum must have ended up in the hands of a Redbird. But as you said, either way, going to have to punt away here. Not what you want to do early on this one.
So Redbirds go 3 and out. Punt is away from the Redbirds. That's a good one inside the 30. It takes a Metamora bounce now inside the 25. That is a beauty of a punt. It goes from 124-yard line to the other, a 52-yard boot. That's really big now considering that Metamora was able to recover that fumble. As we look at our today's weather forecast, much better than last night, I would say. 47 degrees outside, northeast winds at 8 miles an hour. No chance of rain at all. Absolute 0.
Really can't really ask for much more weather-wise here in Central Illinois as we approach November. No rain, I'll take it. I could deal with the cold any day, but it's tough when it rains. It really messes up a lot of different things.
Especially last night when we saw Washington and Danville. Vikings had 5 turnovers with the wet ball, and Francis going deep down in the field again, looking for Owens, who couldn't bring it in. He had it in his hands. Cranford in coverage, and boy, that was Avery Grebner in coverage, but Francis testing this Metamora secondary early, but no good there, and 2nd and 10.
I think we can see who the most targeted receiver in this one is going to be. Sam Owens twice now, just sending him on go routes. He's beat his defender both times. That time, just couldn't quite haul it in and out of the hands, drops out of bounds. Maybe the cold, as I just mentioned, playing a part in that one. But what a throw from France. You could see that right arm is loose. He can really get his body into it.
He'll hand off here to Johnson Cook. And he was met right at the line. I'm sure he was at the tippy top of Metamora's scouting report this week. I'm sure the Redbirds know what to do to try and stop him. It's just a matter of, can you do it for 4 quarters? I think key for them, Dalton, is going to be wrapping him up within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, because if he gets the open field, he is as good as gone.
Absolutely. The key is going to be crowding him, getting not 1 red jersey, not 2 red jerseys. You want all the red jerseys as close to him as possible, because he will break a tackle and he will outrun you. Got to get as many people there to stop him. So far, about halfway through the first quarter, Metamora's done a really good job. If they can keep that up, they're going to have a really good chance in this one for sure.
Big 3rd down here for the Redbirds. Zivas can get the ball back as they keeper for Cameron France. He slips down, so no gain there for the Generals, and they're going to have to punt it away.
Like the idea of faking the handoff. France literally just slipped and fell on the turf in that one. Looked like he was going to plow ahead for a couple yards. 2 unfortunate offensive stands for both sides here in this one, as Generals are going to punt this one away.
And in case you're just tuning in, MacArthur struck first. They received the ball to start the game and got an attempted onside kick by Metamora that then went out of bounds as Owens punts it away. It's MacArthur ball with good field position. Calling for the fair catch is Avery Grebner at the 48-yard line. And Sam Owens had a rushing touchdown for the Generals. And let's get a look at the Class 5A playoff glance, at least this quadrant that they are in. The winner of this game will face the winner of Highland and Mount Vernon. That game taking place also today. Up on the other side, we have Morton playing Providence Catholic, another Mid-Illini team. That should be a great one down at Carper Field. And then Carbondale is playing Hillcrest in the 7-10 game. So potential Morton-Metamora matchup in the quarterfinals if they can make it that far. Cranford is going nowhere on first down. Big stop by the Generals' defensive line. Looked like that was either Kamar Gillespie or Steven Souls. Couldn't see exactly who it was. I believe it was Gillespie, a returning starter on this line for the Generals.
No disrespect to Highland, the Bulldogs coming in at 8-1 to this week, but I believe in both of these teams to really give, assuming Highland does beat Mount Vernon, I believe both these teams could really give Highland a run for their money in the next round.
Highland was a team that was really good last year, and the same again this year as they have a swing pass out to Cranford. He got some space out across the 50 before he's brought down by Owens to pick up of about 6 or so that'll make it 3rd and 7.
They'll do that. They'll send Cranford out. That won't be the last time you'll see that from the Redbirds in this game. They will send him out wide for a pass. Just get him in open turf. Get him in some green. Get him the ball. And just see what he can do. That when you have a kid that's as talented as Cranford, you just want to get him the ball as much as you can and just see what he can make of it.
Metamora also has Evan Kyle in the backfield, who's been impressive this year, but it will be Cranford on 3rd down. He is at the 45, but he needed the 42 for the first. I think it may be 4th down territory, though, Dalton. We'll see if they bring the punt unit, but it looks like they're going to stay on the field.
Looks like Redbirds are staying out there. I absolutely agree with that decision. You know, after an early punt followed by a great defensive stand, I think you really want to come out, make a statement, put your foot down, and get a first down, keep this drive going, just keep the ball. I wouldn't consider punting here. Looks like it's what they're going to do.
And the Generals are going to crowd the box. No safeties too far deep. They're going to hand off to Cranford to get some good blocks, and he is out across the first down. Marker Redmore! Cranford's got some space, and he's into the 20 before he's knocked out of bounds by Brandon Blue, but a big run for Jadon Cranford, who came into the game with 968 yards. I think that one probably put him over 1,000.
What a season for Cranford, getting in 4-digit territory in terms of yards. That is absolutely unreal. Definitely looked like he was going to be brought down at about the first down marker. Zaire Townsend was right there, but Cranford able to bounce off of him, get to the outside, and pick up way more yards.
Now 1st and 10 from the 14. Kyle, they call his number. He bounces outside and gets down to the 11-yard line before he's brought down by, like that was Jamarion Singleton, a senior linebacker for the Generals. Didn't get official starters for MacArthur before the game, so we're just kind of winging it at the moment. But again, saw them last year and got some good seniors on this team, a couple returners.
This team is just full of athletes. Just not the biggest roster, but athletes up and down, anywhere you look.
They're going to run with Kyle, and he scrambles to try and get back to the line, but this is going to be a loss of about 1 or 2. So got the big run from Cranford. Now a big 3rd down, though. You don't want to waste that big run, so figure he maybe go on the ground, but I think at this point of the field, Dalton, you got to remember that you have 6'5" receiver Kendrick Shafford, number 15 in red. And you see him jogging onto the field now.
I think now is the absolute perfect time to target Shafford. As you said, 6'5". Rhodes has the arm and the accuracy to do it. See where they sent him, or if they are going to hand off to Cranford. I don't know if I would do that with 8 yards to go, but we will see.
Big 3rd and 8 here from the 12. Not sure if Metamora wants to kick a field goal at this point. They go to Cranford, and he's upended just inside the 10. Only a pickup of a couple there. It looked like he was brought down, I believe, again by Singleton. They're, at the moment, keeping the offense out.
Was Singleton on the tackle, not quite enough for the first down. Some substitutions here, but they don't look like they have any intentions of trying a field goal, so 4th and 6, they're going to go for it.
It's going to be 4 wide receivers set. Eden, Cote, Avery, Grebner in the slot. Shafford and the man to watch at the bottom of your screen. Man in motion is Grebner. They send him out. They look for him on the motion. He catches at the 5, gets down to about there, but I believe he's going to be a yard short of the sticks, Dalton. big-time tackle from this Generals defense.
Not a bad play call at all. Grebner was open, made a nice catch. A couple yards after the catch, there's a white jersey there to just step up and take him down before he got to that first down marker. And just like that, up in this game, 7-0. Generals got the ball back. About 2 minutes to go in the first quarter.
That's a huge stop for MacArthur. And allowing that long run to Cranford, but bouncing back on that nice tackle by Grebner. And right around that same yard line last week, Grebner was the one that made the game-saving tackle for Metamora. Was able to tackle Dunlap receiver Gabe Munoz inbounds as the Eagles had no timeouts on a second down with 7 seconds to go. That game came down to the absolute wire. And there's going to be a timeout here by the MacArthur Generals. Gives us a chance to reset, and while we do so, let's get a look at Decatur MacArthur's head man, Derek Spates. He's in his 16th season. Got a nearly 500 record at 75-79. His 9th time in the playoffs, but only 4 wins to show for it, so he's trying to build on that, and I think this is at least the momentum that he's bringing with this team this year. Probably has him feeling like this could be their deepest run yet.
Absolutely. This team is poised for a deep playoff run. Like we said, it's just unfortunate one of these two teams is going to have an early exit today. But Spates has these guys revitalized. He's understood that they've had their struggles in the past winning when they do get to the playoffs. They have no intention of an early exit here today or next week or the one after that. So
also on the Metamora sideline, let's take a look at Jared Grebner as well. He's in his 4th season with the Birds, a 22-12 record. His 7-2 record that he had this year is their best in the regular season so far. So he's gradually increased from 5 wins in their first full season. His first year was during the COVID spring, but 5 wins in the fall of 2021, 6 wins in the regular season last year, now 7 this year. So he's getting this Redbirds team to just gradually build. And I think by the time you get to your 4th or 5th year head coaching, you've seen a full class of players, go from freshmen to seniors. That's really when you kind of, really hit your stride.
Yes, Coach Grebner absolutely knows what this Metamora football program is all about. You know you're doing something right when you've made the playoffs this many years in a row and has them poised for a deep playoff run this year with their best regular season record to date.
And MacArthur, their backs are against the wall here. Here's Johnson Cook bouncing outside. He's going to be brought down. That was Shea Seals on the tackle for Metamora, and now MacArthur has just got to try and keep themselves out of their own end zone to prevent this from being a 7-2 game. Lost 1 officially on that run.
Johnson Cook out. They decide to send him to the outside. The Generals do. They decide to send him to the outside aside from the inside. Takes him. The Redbirds right there to take him down very, very quickly. Like you said, got to stay in your own end zone here. Find a way to get out of the danger zone and hopefully get 11 yards.
Ball at about the 4.5. Just Johnson Cook in the backfield and 2 H-backs for MacArthur on this play. France taking the snap in the shotgun. And he'll hand off right to Johnson Cook. And he's got some speed on past the 10, now past the 15. And he drags some defenders out past the 22. Johnson Cook, Dalton, it was a state champion in the 100 and 200 meter dash in the IHSA. As for middle schools around the state, so you could say, he is proven to be the fastest freshman in the entire state of Illinois. We saw some speed on that run there.
And we're going to see it throughout the course of this of this entire game as well. Anytime he gets open turf ahead of him, even if he has 1-2 defenders in front of him, he's going to try to outrun them, and more times than not, he's going to succeed.
16-yard gain for the freshman running back as we go under a minute here in Metamora. Sam Owens, the lone touchdown of the game so far. They put King Smith, the 2-way lineman, in motion to try and help block. They hand off to France, and he's going nowhere. Brad Schalk was the first one there, and he's joined by the rest of the nest.
What a job by Schalk there to meet France right at the line of scrimmage. France, much bigger player, but Schalk stood his ground, stood him up, and held on to him before he got some help from other red jerseys to take him down behind the line of scrimmage.
And we've seen it for a couple teams this year. Just, the best defenses are the ones that just have that gang tackle mentality. Washington certainly has it, and they were just all over the Danville Vikings last night. Metamora, what did so on that play, but they trail 7-0 here after the first quarter of play. Also a good chance to remind you to head on over to CSM Overtime, in case you haven't heard, our new written venture this year. We have news, feature stories, daily roundups from every score in school, every sport around the area as well, and our weekly CSM pick'ems are always fun. We picked the winners of all 18 playoff games, I should say 19 around the area in our coverage area. Plenty more as well. We have photo galleries as well, including, we can only post 10 on Instagram at the same time, but on CSM Overtime you can get the full ones that are a couple dozen. Head over to clutchsportsil.com/overtime today. It's less than the price of a Netflix subscription, so I think it'd be worth it, and also helps keep our broadcast free to watch. Glad you're with us here on Clutch Sports Media on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. Dalton, I noticed on my drive over here today that this is probably one of the peak weekends of the year in terms of the trees changing colors. It is just absolutely beautiful everywhere out
It
today.
really is. Walking into Malone today, it was just absolutely breathtaking. We're just feeling that feeling of fall, all the leaves on the ground, a gorgeous turf field. This is high school football right here in week one for the playoffs. Couldn't have asked for anything better.
And you mentioned that turf field, obviously, that was one of the main stories just across all Peoria high school football coming into the season. Now, the beloved grass at Malone Field is no more. This new turf, I think it's probably grown on some people. I think most people are probably used to it now in October as opposed to when they first saw it back in August. But it's a really realistic turf surface as France goes play action, looking deep. He is going for 10 in, and it's just past him. There is Seals and Petrie, both safeties for Metamora in coverage. 3rd and 11 now, MacArthur.
Early on in this one, I'm really noticing Cameron France is making really, really smart throws. He's not throwing anything into double coverage. He hasn't underthrown anything yet, which is going to be a little tough with the little bit of wind that we do have. He's really taking his time, not just going for the first man that he sees, taking his time, assessing all of his options, and delivering the ball in the breadbasket every single time. If he can keep that up, General's going to have a really good chance to put some more points up on the board.
They certainly are. Again, it's been a first drive score for Sam Owens on MacArthur, and that's been it so far. 3rd and 11, they go with just 2 wide receivers. Johnson Cook in the backfield. Grebner is guarding Owens at the bottom of your screen. He's going to go to Najir Woods, and good coverage there by the Metamora secondary. I believe that may have been Wes McNeil, the senior linebacker, on the junior receiver. And it's 4th down General, so Metamora another chance now to get that goose egg off the scoreboard.
Got to have defense lead to offense here. I know that's more of a maybe basketball terminology, but I'm going to use it in football because it absolutely reigns true right now for these Redbirds. Use that momentum from that 3 and out and put some points up on the board before it's too late.
Obi Owens, he's easy to spot with those fluorescent green gloves. And there's a flag on the play. This is going to be a false start. Now back MacArthur up to the 17. And simultaneously, Metamora's returners take a couple steps forward. Have Grebner on the near side. And on the far side, I believe that is Cam Nickel. They punt it to him. He calls for a fair catch. That's Ethan Cote, rather. It's tough to see if it was an 86 or 26. 26 is Nickel, 86 is Cote. And Metamora will start the drive at the 47. Dalton, let's take a look at the tail of the tape, where both teams average coming into this one and what they've been able to do. MacArthur scores just over 38 points per game, and they allow nearly 20. Metamora, on the other hand, they score about 37 and allow just over 23. So pretty even teams, all things considered, in terms of how many points they put up, how many they allow all season long. And we have a pretty large sample size now at this point of the year, so I think it just shows how close today's matchup is going to be. Rhodes will keep it in. He'll try to make something out of nothing. He's out now just across the 50 before he's brought down there by Johnson Cook. Nice creativity there from Rhodes, bouncing it to the outside.
Go back to that tail of the tape. Makes me wonder when I see stats like that that are even for both sides. Makes me wonder how this ended up being a first-round matchup between these two teams. Seems like they're very even. This seems more like a second, maybe third-round matchup.
You can certainly make that case that, this team is – I'm sure both coaches are telling their teams that, hey, this is as good as, maybe a second, maybe even third-round opponent. We're in the first round here, so I think – whoever wins today could give either Highland or Mount Vernon a big-time run for their money. Kyle, though, not a run for their money. He's running backwards as MacArthur and King Smith bring him down for a minimal gain if there was any at all. 3rd and 6 now.
Ran right into maybe one of his own linemen, it looked like there, getting tripped up. Big 3rd down here because they will more than likely have to punt if they don't get any yardage here. They only need 6. Got a lot of options on this Redbird offense. Got to figure out a way to get 6 yards here, keep this drive alive.
Redbirds will break huddle. We'll see what they can do on 3rd down. They picked it up on a Cranford run last time, a 20 or so yard gain. Man in motion is Marshall Vasquez, the H-back, and 3 wide receivers. Looks like the Redbirds are going to call a timeout and talk things over. Dalton, if you're Jared Grebner, what are you trying to draw up here on a 3rd and medium? Again, you could go either way. I think if you're watching the NFL, it's usually a passing down on 3rd and 6, but this is high school and you could have dominant running backs, especially if Jadon Cranford in the backfield. I feel like it could go either way here. Yeah,
absolutely. I wouldn't mind seeing a handoff to Cranford. What I would really like to see, something we haven't seen yet, is a play action, because I think MacArthur is probably expecting an outside handoff to Cranford here, only needs 6 yards. So I think now is a perfect time to run that play action, maybe roll Nick Rhodes out somewhere and let him use his legs, maybe get to the outside, get 6 yards. Or if he has an open man, we know Rhodes is going to make the right decision. So I think play action is probably the right call here. 3rd and medium, big 3rd down.
And Rhodes' season this is his first and only year as a varsity starter at quarterback for Metamora. Took over after Caden Hartnett last year, graduated. He's such a versatile player for the Redbirds, but again, didn't really know much about Nick Rhodes coming into the year, but he's really blossomed, matured as well. You mentioned he makes good decisions with the ball. Been impressed with both quarterbacks so far. He put Vasquez in motion. Rhodes is going to keep it. He's across the 45. He's got a great block. He's tight up in the sideline. Rhodes may take this one to the house on 3rd and 6. Rhodes takes it the full 48, and Metamora is a put away from tying it.
Not quite a play action, but it works just as well. Completely faking out the general defense. That fake handoff to Cranford. Rhodes had a huge gap, and he saw that, put his head down, and just took off, outran the rest of the General's defense. Took it to the house.
Metamora, they kind of split between going for 2 and kicking the PAT. They will go for 2 here. I keep an eye on Stephen Petrie, who's taking the direct snap. He's their 2-point specialist, and he runs it in. Redbirds take the lead 8-7, 9:57 to go here in quarter number 2. Just about the same timestamp that Sam Owens scored in the first quarter for MacArthur.
Not many times that we have 2-point specialists in our notes for a player. That's exactly what Petrie is, though, showing why he's exactly that, taking that direct snap, forcing his way into the end zone to put the Redbirds up on top, 8-7.
And Stephen Petrie, again, maybe not, the first player you think of when you think of the Metamora Redbirds, but he's such a versatile player. He's a running back for them. Obviously, Cranford and Kyle get most of the carries on their drives, but, Petrie can come in a little bit closer to the goal line as well. He's their 2-point specialist, as we mentioned. He's probably scored a ton of points this year just on those conversions alone. He's also a safety and also their punter as well. So players like him are the reason that Metamora has been able to have a successful season, and they now lead over MacArthur 8-7. Haven't really seen as many explosive plays from MacArthur as we expected to Dalton. They've tried to get a couple, but really only one has hit so far.
Yeah, that first one, I believe it was the first play from scrimmage. France throwing that one up top to Owens, right in the breadbasket. Owens catches it, eventually went on to score the first and only touchdown so far for the Generals. They would love.
Back deep to return. One of the men is Johnson Cook, but it looks like they're going to go with an onside here again. maybe the Redbirds were watching some of Peoria High last night, took some inspiration from Tim Thornton, but Jamari Tennant on the recovery there for MacArthur. And let's take a look at how the Generals, the men in blue and white, got here. A little bit of a slow start. We mentioned they started 1-3 overall, playing in a really tough Central State 8 conference. Their turning point was a 14-12 win over Glenwood. Very strong team who is in Class 5A. And then also they've been on a roll. We mentioned 53.8 points per game in their last 3 games. I should say 4 games. Their offense has just been really tough to stop, and including when they beat Sacred Heart Griffin 2 weeks ago. That was a big win for the Generals as well. Handoff to Johnson Cook, and he's wrapped up in the backfield again. This Metamora defensive front continues to impress. Wes McNeil on the stop.
For the MacArthur Generals, goes back to the old adage, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And especially for that offense that's really come to their own here as we head towards November. Really not a better time for your squad to click than the playoffs. So good on MacArthur Generals, good on Coach Spates, good on everybody that's a part of that program to really turn things around. Get that turning point victory over Chatham, get that massive win over a powerhouse in Sacred Heart Griffin at Springfield.
Here's France. He is loading up for a deep ball again. He's looking for his man Woods. Overthrew him with Jadon Cranford in coverage. Cranford is one of a few two-way players on the Metamora defense, but overall this is a Redbirds group that has the roster numbers and just has the program strength. They don't have to keep all their guys going both ways. And not saying that a team like MacArthur, who has more two-way players, isn't strong at all, because you want your best players on the field at all times, and sometimes maybe you are the better running back or the better linebacker on the field.
Absolutely. Looking
just got to worry about at this point of the season keeping guys fresh is the main thing.
For sure. Looking at that Redbird sideline, looks more like the Illinois State Redbird sideline, maybe, with just the sheer number of kids for part of this program.
There's a flea flicker here, and France is absolutely blown up. Sam Bagol, with no regard for human life, he tears down France in the backfield. What a massive play.
That'll wake you up here on this Saturday afternoon. France nowhere to go. He rolls back, looks up, and he's got 3 red jerseys right there. He gets absolutely smashed by the defense. Big loss.
The senior defensive lineman and tight end Sam Bagol with a huge hit. And boy, if Cameron France wasn't awake yet, he is now. I can tell you that for sure. 4th and 19 as Owens will boot it down across the 30. Here's Cote, and he's going to get wrapped up. So MacArthur says an eye for an eye as Jaden Drake with a big tackle on special teams.
Nice hard hit by Drake, not letting any positive yardage happen on that one, driving his man back. So not the best field position for Metamora here. 8 minutes left before this half comes to a close. Let's see what they can get done.
And let's see how the Redbirds got here. We looked at how MacArthur's journey has been. Now Metamora's, they had a little bit more of a fast start. They started 2-0 overall with non-conference wins over Sterling and LaSalle Peru. Then they dropped their last 2 to Washington and Morton back-to-back weeks. And at 2-2, we're kind of thinking, how good is this team? Are they able to beat the better teams in the conference and playoff teams? But they came back and won 5 in a row, and they're back on track now, again, averaging 49 points in their last 5 games.
Having Washington and Morton back-to-back in your schedule is tough, especially considering those are the only 2 teams above Metamora in their conference.
Swing pass out to Evan Kyle, who had to lunge forward to grab it, almost a basket catch out across the 30 and pick up of about 9.5 or 10. Not moving the 6 quite yet. It'll be 2nd and very short. This is a chance where if Rhodes wanted to, they could go for a deep ball.
We haven't seen it yet, and I think this might be the time to go for it yet. Let Rhodes show off his arm a little bit. If it's incomplete, it's incomplete. You still only have 1 yard to go. It's like that's what they're going to do.
They are going to go deep for Shaffrin, and it tipped away. What a play from Sam Owens. Shaffrin had him beat, and he has the height as well. But Owens just got a fingertip on it. Great positioning and great athleticism there from their senior corner.
Sam Owens doing a little bit everything here in this one. Great awareness there from Owens to realize that his man had him beat by a couple yards, so he turns around, spots the ball. He timed that jump perfectly. Stuck that arm up there, got that bright neon green glove to the ball, and complete. Now 3rd and short for the Redbirds.
3rd and 1 now from the 30 as they hand off to Kyle, and he's got some space. He breaks the tackle. Just 2 men to beat. They close in on him and tackle him at the 42. Big gain for Evan Kyle. Dalton, we talk so much about Jadon Cranford, but Evan Kyle is right there as well, and it's so big having another back like that because they can take the load off of Cranford and vice versa.
And on top of that, they can also send Cranford out wide for some passes. He's done that multiple times this season, going out, making a play with his hands, catching the ball and getting some yards and some open space. So lots of value that Kyle brings to this team. Also, very nice tackle by Jaden Drake there, the senior. Otherwise, I think Kyle might have be in the back of the end zone right now.
Probably would, as they hand off to Cranford, and he is wrapped up by a whole troop at the 40-yard line. So 2nd and 2. This game is a lot different than what we saw at least last night, Dalton, at least between Washington and Danville. I was on the call for that game, where that game was kind of defined by big plays, fumble recoveries, and kick returns for touchdowns, of which, by the way, we saw 3 of them, and they all they were all at the start of a quarter. It was one to start the game, the 2nd quarter, and the 3rd quarter as well. This one, a little bit more emphasis on consistent long scoring drives. They give it off to Cranford, and he's got some space, and he's got a block from A.J. Stone. He's still going inside the 10. Cranford steps out of bounds. He was so close, but I think he was out at the 13. I think Cranford thought he may have been in for a second.
That was unbelievable. Cranford cuts back, had some white jerseys there. I thought for sure he was going down at about the 20, but he's able to get back to the outside. Almost took it to the end zone if he didn't step out of bounds there at about the 13. Either way, great golden opportunity here for the Redbirds to put more points up on the board. About 6 minutes left before this half ends.
Cranford also got over the 100 carry threshold for the year, came into the day with 99. They'll hand it off to him again on the right side. Nice blocking by Ty Dykes and Alex Lane. Dykes the right guard, Lane the right tackle. 3 seniors and 2 juniors on this offensive line for Metamora. On the left side, you have Landon Cowper, by the way, who's the younger brother of former lineman Cole Cowper.
Definitely a football family. Metamora loves to see that. Bring more talent into this program through families.
And 2nd and 6 now from the 9. They go to Rhodes on the QB keeper before he's pushed back at the 5. So good pickup of a chunk there, and you really mind those 4 or 5 yard runs when you're in the red zone. Again, less space to work, makes it tougher for your offense to just find room to maneuver. That'll make it 3rd and 1, and again, I'm sure we're in 4th down territory again.
Yeah, definitely. I like the idea from Metamora with that QB keeper from Rhodes. I think they need to keep doing that because it really keeps MacArthur on their heels because they think the ball's going to Cranford every time. Here it does go to Cranford.
They do give to Cranford, and the ball came out. MacArthur picks it up, and oh my word, MacArthur's going to run this back for a touchdown. I believe that's Myson Johnson Cook. I don't see his number, but I can tell by his speed, and it is the freshman linebacker picking it up and running it back. What a massive swing of momentum for MacArthur as they take the lead now 13-8.
You know, John, that's not how I expected Myson Johnson Cook to get his first touchdown in this one, a 90-plus yard scoop and score. But Johnson Cook and the MacArthur Generals will take it. We have a ref down on the opposite sideline, it seems.
Oh boy, hopefully our referee is all right. Didn't see, I was watching Johnson Cook. Unbelievable, his speed on that play. That's the first time we were able to see him just gallop through the open field like that, and oh my word. That man is fast. 97 yards on the fumble recovery. The 2nd week in a row that Cranford has fumbled in the red zone. And last week, Rhodes was right there to pick it up, run in for a score. This time, you can't get lucky 2 times in a row. This time, Johnson Cook picks it back up, and he was gone.
Very unfortunate. Can't get lucky twice in a row. I think we were on the same wavelength there, John. When I saw that ball get picked up, I was trying to pick up what number that the Generals player who had the ball was, but took about 10 yards for me to realize that he's faster than everybody else. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's Mason Johnson Cook for sure.
His speed and the orange gloves make him really hard to miss. Again, he picked up an offer from Nebraska yesterday. And as I was making dinner, checking his Twitter profile on Thursday night, I saw just an hour ago an offer from Penn State, an offer from Iowa as well. Interesting note is he has to be informed by his head coach, Derek Spates, if he's gotten an offer, because the NCAA coaches aren't allowed to directly contact him yet as a freshman. It's kind of crazy to think that he's getting all these Big Ten interests, his bright future in front of him. He can't even drive yet. He's 14 years old, or 15, who knows, but he's a freshman.
He's been a high school student for about 3 months, and he's already racking up offers for some of the best college football programs in the country.
So it looks like MacArthur will kick the PAT here. Aiden Bruce, the freshman punter and kicker for MacArthur. It's an important PAT to make it a 6-point game. MacArthur only had 10 players on the field, so they'll run in a second blocker. Now they'll snap it, and this one is up, and this one has a little bit more leg on it than the first one that just snuck in. And with that, the Generals take a 14-8 lead over the Metamora Redbirds. Dalton, this feels like a game that is going to come down to late in the fourth quarter, methinks.
Yeah, the longer we go into this one, the more I'm feeling this one's going to come down to the wire. This is where Metamora, I feel like, has the advantage with all the players that are ready to go on the sidelines. They definitely have more players than Decatur Macarthur. We will see as this one goes on.
I like how much time is on the clock for Metamora, though. If you're a Redbirds fan, 4:52, that should give you enough time to put together a nice scoring drive that is, decently long. You can burn some clock up. You're not in too much of a rush, but if you do score, you probably won't leave MacArthur with that much time.
I think that's got to be the game plan here for Grebner and the Redbirds. Get to the red zone or close to it, and then you can maybe stall a little bit if you have to. Don't want to give this explosive general offense too much time to put more points up on the board.
We'll try and get actually fixed with our camera here in Metamora. Our Josh Messenger is. I don't want to thank all of our hardworking Clutch Sports media crew. It's been a big week of football. We were at Washington and Danville yesterday, as well as Joliet Catholic Academy and Peoria High. The Lions fell 40-16 in that game. Dalton, again, tough way to end the season for the Lions. Last high school game for a lot of stars like Tino Gist. Again, just ingrained in the high school football sphere here in Peoria.
Yeah, you want to talk about...
Now ball is fumbled inside the 15. Cranford picks it up at the 13. It's a nice block, but he's running sideways. He's going to go backwards. Not how you want to start for Metamora.
Incredible job by the Generals to swarm the red jerseys after that ball was dropped. Of course, Peoria High, you want to see an explosive offense. That is an explosive offense. They always go for two. They never punt. They always do onside kicks. And they had one of the highest overall scoring seasons in the history of IHSA.
As we troubleshoot here, glad you're sticking with us here on ClutchSportsIL.com. A Saturday matinee special. Getting to that time of the year where Friday nights turn into Saturday afternoons. And a long field ahead for Nick Rhodes, Jadon Cranford, and the Redbirds. They'll go with two wide receivers, Kyle in the backfield. And he plunges and falls forward across the 10. Now is Jamarion Singleton on the stop for MacArthur.
Singleton called his name a couple times. I think he might be up to 3 tackles in this one, really putting his name out there, making a statement in this first half of this one. Definitely one of the leaders of this defense.
On 2nd and 9, again, probably another running down for Metamora. A 3 wide receiver set this time with Grubner out there, and they'll hand off And Rhodes is going backwards. They're not handing off, and he may have just stayed out of the end zone. They'll give him forward progress, and they'll mark him at the 5-yard line.
It's lucky there for Rhodes and the Redbirds. Loss of 6 on that play is what they're going to officially call it. Lucky Rhodes was able to stay out of the end zone there. Either way, great defense from the Generals, really meeting the Redbirds at their line of scrimmage or close to it every play so far this drive. 3rd and long for the Redbirds as they break huddle, head back to the line of scrimmage.
And now, if you're Metamora, you really got to focus on just trying to get what you can. And it just, even if, it really doesn't help much if you pick up 7 or 8 yards, you're still in bad field position. You have to punt, I would think.
Yeah, fortunately for the Redbirds, that game plan of going down the field and chewing some clock and scoring right before the half ends, that's going to have to go out the window here. 3rd and long, you're almost backed up all the way to your own end zone. You got to kind of get what you can here and not give Decatur Macarthur amazing field position with plenty of time to put more points on the board for them.
And, as much as we've talked about MacArthur's offense, really got to credit their defense a lot. Credit Metamora's as well. I mean, both of these teams they're like it's like having 2 trains that are going at 100 miles an hour meeting together on the track. So, one of them they're going to stop each other. So that's why it's relatively low scoring here today.
Unstoppable force meets immovable objects is what we have here for you today from Malone Field.
Big crowd on hand here at Malone Field. It was a little sparse before the game, but probably a more late arriving crowd because they want to minimize their time as in the cold, as it is getting a little bit chillier. Lots of coats and hats out in the crowd today. Cheer squad trying to get the rile up the Metamora fans here on a big 3rd down, and that may be a false start. All 3 wide receivers took off down the field, and that's going to be half the distance to the goal. So now it'll be 3rd and officially, you want to set a scoreboard, 3rd and 17 and a half from the 2.5-yard line.
Wonder if they're going to go to the air here or if they're just going to hand it off to Cranford to see what he can do.
They're going to motion him out of the backfield. Rose is going to keep this one, has some speed, has some blockers across the 10, down to 15. He's going to pick up the 1st down and more before he's brought down from behind by Kirsten McCoy. Nice ball security there by Rhodes. Being able to hang on that. McCoy was going for the strip. But how about Nick Rhodes on 3rd and 15, picks up 34.
Again, that QB keeper has been absolutely deadly so far for Rhodes and the Redbirds. Was not expecting that given the field position. But 1st down and a lot more completely changes the outlook on the rest of this half for both sides.
Rhodes had a season high 113 yards on the ground last week and picked up a really good chunk there, about just under 1/3 of that total. I'll hand off again here to Kyle. Pushes forward, and he gets out across the 44. What I noticed a lot of Metamora running backs do, Dalton, is a lot of them put their hand out, try and guide their blockers and just create space for themselves. It's been really hard for MacArthur at times to just get within a 1 or 2 foot bubble of all their running backs.
That's just one of the things that Coach Grebner has ingrained into the heads of this Metamora team. It's why they're so fundamentally sound. That's why they're so good.
Now they go play action. Rhodes looking on the curl route over to Connor Bidney. 1st down, he's out of bounds. Over into MacArthur territory. The first time we've called Connor Bidney's name today.
Very well done by Bidney to go out there, go up and snag that one, stay in bounds, pick up 1st down and more for the Redbirds as they continue their march towards the end zone here. 2 minutes, 20 seconds left to go before this half comes to a close.
1st and 10 now from the 44-yard line as we approach 2 minutes to go. So Metamora, I think, is probably on the schedule they want to be in terms of winding time down here in the 1st half.
Yeah, thanks to that big QB keeper from Rhodes. Now they have plenty of time to do whatever they want.
They'll hand off to Cranford. This is a big run right. Cranford is going to be close to the end zone, and Cranford is in. Touchdown, Metamora. 44-yard scamper for Jadon Cranford.
Cranford strikes again, really putting together a really, really nice half for himself. put Metamora back on top, barring a failed field goal or 2-point conversion, whichever one they decide to go to. Incredible job by the blockers there on that one as well. Haven't given them enough credit to this one. Looks like Redbirds are going to elect to try for the extra point.
They're going to go with the PAT. They like to switch it up. Here's Sopko on the PAT. That one is a high kick and through the uprights. Metamora regains a 1-point lead, 15-14. Only downside for the Redbirds at the moment is that you left Macarthur with 1:48, but you got some huge runs. First from Rhodes on 3rd and 15 to pick up 34, and then Cranford with a 48-yard jaunt to finish it off.
Yeah, it is unfortunate you do leave this explosive general offense 1:48. Plenty of time for them to go down the field, put some more points up on the board. But I don't think you're going to complain too much about a touchdown at this stage in the game, playing a team as solid as Decatur Macarthur.
So 1:48 left. We'll see what Macarthur can do. This one has been neck and neck the entire way. Just like Metamora's game last week when they faced Dunlap. Again, that one was a 21-20 game against halftime. So maybe if there's any cardiologists around in Metamora, they may be seeing an increase in appointments.
Absolutely would not be shocked.
Cardiac birds.
Would not be shocked. Both these teams have their fair share of blowouts, but they also have their fair share of playing close games. They're both experienced, especially this Metamora team, as we've mentioned, coming off that very scary win against Dunlap last week. They're no stranger to this.
They certainly aren't. Playoff tradition here in Metamora, you get a look at, they have banners of all their playoff appearances down on the south end zone, and there are quite a bit of them. I can't count all of them at the moment, but there are a lot. This is their 36th all-time playoff game. Here's Owens on the return, brought down to the 25. A nice tackle there by Caleb McAllister. And Generals take over at the 26-yard line with just over 100 ticks to go.
Today, the 98th overall playoff game for the history of Metamora football. 65-32 mark over the previous 97 games. That is really, really impressive from this program that's really been consistent for decades upon decades.
And again, lots of history among both of these teams. This is the first time that Metamora and Macarthur have ever played against each other.
Metamora 3 state titles, Decatur Macarthur none. Looks like the ball might have come out there, John.
Looks like Macarthur recovered it. Not much doing there on first down. Macarthur has 1 timeout remaining. Metamora has 2. Clock is running. Now 2nd and 11. France is going to hang off to Johnson Cook, who breaks 3 and brought down at the 34. And kind of threw a shoulder into him as Marshall Vasquez motions Metamora football. However, I think that came out pretty late. And Macarthur will maintain possession, and they don't seem to be in much of a rush as there's a injured general down near the 20-yard line. So they're going to have an official timeout here. Coming up at halftime, we'll try and see if we can get Gavin Russell up here in the booth. He's down on the sidelines taking some pictures, doing some sideline reporting, running our social media as well. So he's back for a 2nd straight day, and we'll also take a look at other playoff scores from around the area. Busy day high school football. You'll have Morton playing today. You got some big small school games. You got Farmington against Bismarck, Henning, Rossville, Alvin. That'll be a great game as well. You got Chicago Simeon against Normal West, Bloomington and Glenwood, although I believe Glenwood is leading the Purple Raiders by multiple scores at the moment.
One of the best days of the year. Kind of feels like the first day of March Madness in that regard. Just
Yep.
Great game after great game after great game. You cannot go wrong any way you look across any class, across any part of Illinois when you get to this time in high school football.
Under a minute to play now. 3rd and 1 for MacArthur. And convert here. They can maybe go for a big shot or two before the half. And we've seen France unload some deep ones here today. Cranford showing pressure from the cornerback position, and they hand off to Johnson Cook. He breaks one tackle, gets out of another one, spins around across the 42. Gain of 7 yards, and the clock will stop temporarily.
Johnson Cook showing off why he's so good right there. Probably should have gone down a couple yards behind that first down marker. Took a couple hits, put the spin move on a guy, and got extra yards, got the first down, stopped the clock.
So now play clock is, or game clock really running down. France is going to have to go deep here. He's looking for a man, and he's going to get wrapped up. Not much of a loss. A sack, but no yards lost. He's brought down at the 42. He was trying to find Najir Woods down the field, and he was blanketed in coverage.
Nothing doing there for Woods or France or any of the generals there. Great job by Metamora's defense to step up and not let any huge plays drastically affect this game this close to halftime. That injured general was Jamari Tenden, number 13, but he did walk off under his own power. I believe it was a shot maybe to the stomach, saw him grabbing that stomach area. He did walk off under his own power, hopefully just a stinger, and he will be all right. He's being attended to right now.
It'll be 2nd and 10 with just 11 seconds to go and no timeouts for MacArthur. So this is probably going to be one of the last plays of the half if they can't get out of bounds. If they can't get out of bounds, they can maybe get 2 more plays or so.
Yeah, I'd maybe like to see them send Owens on an out route and see if France can fire a bullet maybe 7, 8, 9 yards. If Owens can hold on to it and get out of bounds, they got plenty of time to run that and one more play. Interesting to see what Coach Spates drew up for him, though.
So it'll be 2nd and 10 now from the 42-yard line. And France will have 3 wide receivers. Keep an eye on Owens. He's number 6 with the green gloves. And Metamora is going to be calling a timeout here to take a look and see what MacArthur came out in as the coaching chess match continues. And speaking of chess matches, how about this for MacArthur? The Smith family, they have a bishop and a king. You have King Smith, the returner on the defensive line. He's joined by Bishop Smith as well. I would guess that they're related. Not 100% sure, but how about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big chess guy myself. I don't know about you, John. I enjoy a game of chess or two, so that's very interesting to see. Wonder if they have a sister named Queen. That's all I can think about right now.
That would be perfect. Maybe the youngest would be named Pawn. Oh,
that's just disrespect.
They would probably be made fun of their entire life. I certainly wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Bishop, a freshman, and King, I believe, is a senior.
So maybe the last chance for Metamora, or I should say MacArthur rather, to score before the half. It's been a back and forth game. It started with a 12-yard rush from Sam Owens, and then Nick Rhodes responded, and they're going to toss here to Johnson Cook, and they're going to say that's a forward pass, incomplete. So it'll be 3rd down now with 7.4 seconds left to go.
I don't mind the play call there from Spates and the Generals getting Johnson Cook a little screen. Unfortunately, France just overthrew him a little bit. Even Johnson Cook couldn't go up and get that one. The good news is the pass was ruled an incomplete pass, so you have time to do something else. Here was 7.4 seconds. You have time to run probably more than likely one more play.
Probably one more play, but if you do have a quick incompletion, you could load up again and go for it all in a Hail Mary on the last play of the half. France will throw to the outside. He's got Najir Woods. He's running. He's trying to get out of bounds here, and he does across midfield with time expiring. Just missed it by a couple tenths of a second, and MacArthur won't get a chance to throw the deep ball before the half. They head into the locker room down 15-14, although very much in this game. This game may as well be tied, Dalton. It has been neck and neck.
It's been about as back and forth as you could possibly imagine. Metamora only up by 1 over Decatur Macarthur. I don't even know what to expect here in the second half of this one. All I can tell you is I am extremely excited.
It is going to be a great second half of football against Sam Owens, the first score for MacArthur at 10 minutes in the first quarter, a 12-yard rush after he caught a big pass to get the Generals in scoring position. Then Nick Rhodes had a 48-yard rush. He had some big carries in the first half. Again, that 3rd and 15 picked up 34 and led to Cranford's 44-yard touchdown run with 1:48 left. And then in between the Rhodes and Cranford touchdown runs, that fumble recovery for a score by Myson Johnson Cook. I feel like that play is the one keeping the Generals in this game because Metamora was right on the doorstep of scoring before that fumble recovery for a touchdown.
Yes, it should probably be a 2-score game right now, but as you see on the scoreboard, it's only a 1-point game. So extremely lucky for Decatur Macarthur that they get that scoop and score, 97 yards from Myson Johnson Cook, pardon me.
It's a great first half of action here in Class 5A. The 6-11 game is all you could ask for. Don't let the seeds fool you. Seeds are probably less important than most people think in high school football, and maybe can even be a bit misleading at times. We're going to have a great one here in Metamora. We'll step aside here on Clutch Sports Media, come back and have the halftime performance and recap the first half. Look at some other scores from around the area here on Clutch Sports Media.
Central Illinois, we're going to overtime. After 4 years of preps coverage in Central Illinois, Clutch Sports Media is ready for a new era. CSM Overtime.
What is CSM Overtime? We're going beyond the broadcast to give you in-depth coverage of your teams,
Your stories. Your stats and standings.
your highlights and action shots.
With your subscription, you'll get to see news and feature stories from all sports, up-to-date stats from around the area, and thoughtful analysis from our team of experts. As for our broadcast and social media coverage, it's only getting better.
With your support of Clutch Sports Media Overtime, we'll continue to grow our free broadcast coverage with more sports, more games, and more innovation.
And thanks to our partnership with Too Efficient Media, your social media feeds will be filled with Central Illinois' best sights and sounds. CSM Overtime will also give you access to full galleries from some of the most talented photographers and videographers in our region.
As the new season approaches, it's time for more.
More action. More stories.
More coverage of all Central Illinois sports. It's Clutch Sports Media Overtime.
And welcome back to Metamora, the marching band taking the field for their performance. Jonathan Michael, Dalton Carmine here in the booth in Metamora. It's been a dandy of a ball game so far. Metamora leading narrowly 15-14, but let's see what the scoreboard for the other games around the area say. Again, lots of teams in action, including Morton from the Mid-Illini. Washington, they played last night, as did Dunlap. The Eagles lost in a heartbreaker to Blue Island to Eisenhower, 42-41 in double OT. Washington was big winners, but over in the Big 12, Normal West leading 21-0 over Simeon. And also Bloomington down 35-8 against Glenwood. So that Glenwood win for MacArthur, Dalton, is looking a lot better. And MacArthur, again, they also beat Bloomington as well. So two teams that they faced. And they beat, obviously, Bloomington last week. And then also beat Glenwood as well. So
Yes, but MacArthur, the 6-3 record doesn't exactly blow you away and scream state title contender. But look at some of the wins they have, as we mentioned throughout the course of this broadcast. That huge win over Sacred Heart Griffin, a perennial powerhouse out of Springfield. You have the win over Bloomington, which is a big playoff school. And you have that big win over Chatham Glenwood, also another big playoff school. Just three massive wins that you really just can't look over.
You certainly can, and also other games go down at the moment. In the small school action, we have DMAC. They're playing Anawatta Weathersfield. How about Cody Myers and the Chiefs? They were in a very similar position as MacArthur was, backs against the wall, and then They won their final 3 games, including a big one in Week 7 against El Paso Gridley, in which they were probably favored as the underdogs. And they came back and won that one, and they won their last 2 to get in at 5-4. They're down 28-0 though to Anawan Weathersfield. That game in the second quarter. And down in the Sangamo Conference, out in the sticks, Olympia leading to Litchfield 13-0 at halftime. Also, El Paso Gridley and Tri-Valley is underway at the moment. Can't find a score for that right now, but we'll try and keep you guys updated. Providence Catholic and Morton just kicked off. The game started at 2 p.m. And also later today, you have Farmington playing at 3 against Bismarck, heading to Rossville Alvin. That should be a great game. Got it down in 2A. Not sure how much you looked at the brackets, Dalton, but 2A is looking really, really strong this year, especially that northern portion of the bracket. Also, you have Bloomington Central Catholic as part of that 2A northern bracket as well, facing Unity Seymour today in a big-time playoff game. I think BCC will be favored pretty much as well.
BCC coming out of that Illini Prairie Conference. I believe they finished undefeated, if I'm not mistaken.
They did. Certainly
one of the top seeds going into the playoffs, one of the state title contenders. Also got a shout out from Lamar Ball on social media.
They did.
Which
that was talking about a random thing you don't expect to see. That's LeVar Ball talking about the Bloomington Central Catholic Saints.
That's not something I was expecting to see when I opened my phone up that day, but yeah, you get a shout out from LeVar Ball. I think that's going to energize you at least a little bit, right?
I think it certainly has to. It was probably a little cameo thing. You can pay celebrities. They can send you videos, personalized ones. My girlfriend actually got me one for my birthday a couple years ago, and so that was pretty interesting. I'm sure the Central Catholic players, they enjoyed that. But also some other good games around the area took place last night as well. Eureka, they fell to Lombard Martini. Their season's over. Normal U-High season is over as well, losing to Cole City. Princeville fell to Stark County. But Peoria Notre Dame, they won as a 14th seed against Kewanee back in Class 4A. So congrats to the Irish. They'll be moving on and facing the winner of either Murfreesboro or Carterville, I believe. Off the top of my head, I think it's one of those 2 teams, but I'll have to double check. Can't have the brackets memorized in my head, but, Dalton, also, I want to give a shout out to your alma mater of high school. You went to a high school that plays 8-man football, St. Thomas More down in Champaign. I'm assuming they're probably a top seed in the 8-man playoffs at the moment.
Absolutely. Shout out to all my friends back at my alma mater, St. Thomas More in Champaign. Yes, after my freshman year of high school, they switched to 8-man. It's been one of the best decisions the school has ever made. Peace Boomba is one of the best 8-man players in the entire state. Got an extremely strong line. J.J. Schmidt, Brody Cuppernell. Really not many weaknesses on that 8-man squad. They are sitting at 9-0 right now, currently playing their first playoff game. Can't find the score to that one at the moment. They play Bushnell Prairie City. But yeah, High School St. Thomas More coming in, ranked 2nd overall in Illinois 8-man. Excited to see what the boys back home can do.
Certainly, lots of games all across the state again. Keep an eye on all the scores from around Illinois here today. Got some great ones around Central Illinois. That's where the best football is, at least in my opinion. We may be a little biased here on Clutch Sports Media, but also just all around, it's just a special day. You got college football going on as well, but now you got the leaves are changing colors. You got high school football as well. Who knows? Maybe you're right with the family, go to the pumpkin patch after the game, a haunted house at night. That's where I may be tonight. I really am in the mood to go to one as well, but nothing really too scary about this one so far for either team. Both teams playing well. It's 15-14 here between MacArthur and Metamora. As our Gavin Russell is up here in the booth, and he'll take over for Dalton Carmine. Gavin was on the sidelines taking some pictures, updating social media, and he was with me in the booth last night. So welcome back, Gavin. Good to be back with you.
It's very good to be back. I always enjoy visiting the Malone Field booth here, and it's a chilly one out there. It's gotten a little more brisk as the wind has picked up, but both these teams are highly competitive, and they're definitely looking to have a big second half, so they're not really focused on the weather.
No, certainly not. And I was going to ask you, how is the weather out there? How cold is it? Is it windy very much? Because I don't think there's much wind, but I was curious to see if the wind is, as the Midwesterners say, it's not the cold that'll get you, it's the wind.
Sure, yeah. I think out here in Metamora, obviously with less houses and less things to block that wind, even a little bit can have its own effect. Definitely noticed it in spurts. My hands are a bit red just from the cold of the wind, but overall not terrible. It's not too bad, all things considered, for an October day.
Certainly, and again, it's good to see the conditions not play much of a factor. You can see both teams at their full potential here today. And what have you just seen, noticed overall on the sidelines? I know you've been very busy doing almost 3 different things at once, but what have you just noticed overall from the sidelines, and also watch those guys up close?
Well, yeah, I mean, busy trying to shoot some good pictures and stuff, but just being down there, you're getting the vibe of what the sideline feels like. You're hearing things. What are the coaches saying? I spent quite a bit of that first half there on that Macarthur sideline. Even when things weren't exactly going their way, John, it just felt like, okay, let's just pick it up. Let's just make the next play better. If they gave up a big run or something like that, let's just try to rebound. And, there was a couple players that were a little frustrated with themselves after a missed tackle here and there. But, again, the coaches just trying to keep the spirits up. Noticing kind of on the other way for Metamora, they're doing very much the same way, but they're just trying to, increase that urgency, make sure that everybody stays locked in from start to finish here. So that's why we've got a barn burner, 2 teams with very, very similar mentalities, 2 teams with a lot of urgency, and that's what we saw in this first half.
I think we certainly did. How about let's revisit our keys to the game. Gavin, I'm going to put you on the spot. I know you weren't up here when we talked about our keys to the game. You probably have no idea what they are right now, but for Macarthur, we talked about having speed and smarts. Obviously, lots of talent on that team, but you also just got to play smart as well. But also learning from last year when they lost 62-14 to Peoria High in the first round of the 5A playoffs. They've already matched that point total in the first half here today, and in a much closer game this time around. So I think that they're doing probably pretty good, I would say.
Yeah, no, they certainly are. And, again, that's one of the things I've noticed, too, from the coaching staff. They're out there, trying to predict basically every single play. So they're just trying to use their smarts and what the scouting report says in order to shut them down. It works several times, not every single time, but, both of these teams have to be able to kind of play the analytics and things like that. And then you mentioned the speed. I mean, Myson Johnson, Cook is just a burner with his legs. I mean, he would beat me in a foot race so fast, although I want to see him making a baseball reference. We're still in baseball season here. I'd love to see him in a foot race against the Freeze of the Atlanta Braves.
Yes.
Hear about the Beat the Freeze. I don't know, Myson Johnson Cook might have him beat, or perhaps he's actually down there in Atlanta filling the Freeze role from time to time. But certainly, definitely, as they've had many big plays in this first half. It's just a lot of speed to go with it.
Yeah, and real quick about Johnson Cook, he had a 10.97 100-yard dash last year to win the IHSA state title, a 22.96 200-meter dash that also won the state title as well. So, again, and what's crazy, Gavin, is he had an offer from Illinois before he even played a single down of high school football. He's racked up 3 more Big Ten offers as well. But also Metamora as well. For them, talk about them needing a geometry lesson. They had to take the right angles to Macarthur's players and bring them down because they have so much speed. And I think overall they're doing a pretty good job of limiting the big plays. You saw a couple big ones, especially that long pass to Sam Owens, and also having mental toughness as well. You mentioned sort of that earlier on the Metamora sideline.
Yeah, and Sam Owens, I think we're going to talk a lot about Myson Johnson Cook. You will continue to talk a lot about him on the rest of the broadcast, but I've been just kind of looking at Sam Owens the entire game, and he always seems to kind of find himself open. So Metamora may kind of have to just use that toughness and use a little smarts, as you mentioned, to be able to maybe put a double team, maybe have a safety or something come up, because Owens in one-on-one could be very dangerous. So look around Macarthur. There's a lot of different players to watch, although Metamora, as you can mention, they've got a lot of really tough defenders too. Sam Bagol, one of the big ones there, he made a couple of nice tackles, and both teams also got pinned near their goal lines, were able to kind of make things out of it. We saw Metamora on that 3rd and roughly 25 or so, able to convert, so that shows a lot of resiliency against that urgency. You got to win, otherwise you're going home. So it's been a really fun first half. Can't wait for half number 2, and it's playoff football, baby. You can't beat it.
You certainly can. And real quick, Aaron, just before you leave, I know we picked all of the games around the area in our CSM Pick'em at all. Overall, give your prediction of what's going to happen in the second half. Maybe not either a final score, maybe not a winner or a loser, but give a prediction for the second half that you think.
Well, I definitely think that this is going to come down to one-score game. It's going to be within 8 or less points. Whichever team loses, they are probably going to have a chance late in the game, possibly the final drive. I still think I'm going to stick with my original prediction on the season pick'em. I'm going to say Macarthur does pull it out, but it's going to be by the narrowest of margins. And if Metamora pulls it out, wouldn't shock me either. I mean, this is going to come down to the wire. Flip of a coin, 50-50, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be very, very close.
Certainly, and I was not going to give a prediction. I'm on the call for the game, and we do it like we do on College Game Day. Like Kirk Herbstreit, he's calling the game. He doesn't make the picks, whatever.
I have to stick with what I picked a few days ago. I don't want to waver. I don't want to be that guy that changes in the middle of the game. There's two more quarters to play, and I think a lot can happen. I will give an additional prediction. I do think we're going to see each team with at least one big pass play here in the second half. So
sure.
I'd expect a little more airing it out from both sides. We've already seen a few passes, but I expect both teams to have a big pass play or two some point in the second half.
I certainly think that's a good one as well. As becomes more imperative that you got to win, you got to make some big plays, and we'll see if Nick Rhodes or Cameron France go through the air. But Gavin, thanks for hopping into the booth as well as sitting back down to the sidelines. Gavin Russell, a busy man, ladies and gentlemen, filling your social media feeds, and we also have some pictures that'll be on CSM Overtime. So you can subscribe today at clutchsportsil.com/overtime. We got news and feature stories from covering all the schools and sports from around the area, daily roundups, and pretty soon, Dalton, as we bring you back into the booth, the basketball season is coming up as well. It's going to be here before we know it. We're going to have some basketball previews coming out as well, so keep an eye out for your favorite teams. We have a little over 30 coverage schools in our area, so we cover as many previews and stuff as we can. It's a tall task, but we're going to be full in. All of our chips are going to be towards basketball season here coming up pretty soon.
Absolutely cannot wait. Short Clutch Sports Media Overtime, get all the access to everything we have to offer for that basketball season. It's going to be arguably more exciting than football season. Definitely has the potential. We got some real powerhouses in the central Illinois area. Beyond excited for basketball season.
We certainly will, and the Metamora Redbirds obviously going to be, one of those teams to watch. Obviously, they bring in Cooper Koch from P&D. What a huge addition that is to a team that won the state championship last year. They bring back Tyler Mason and Matthew Zobris, Luke Hopp as well. So that's going to be a very, very good Metamora team. Also keep an eye on Richwood's Normal Community. Normal Community's got the tallest starting lineup, I believe, in the entire state. It's 6'5", 6'6", I think at 6'9", 6'10", and 6'11" for the Ironmen. So if you're a Big 12 fan, keep an eye on them. Keep an eye on the Richwoods Knights as well. They're going to be good. Washington's going to be pretty good this year. And so is, MacArthur. They're not really in our coverage area, at least for the most part, but they also have a strong basketball team as well. We're looking to see last time MacArthur teams won any state titles. Dalton, I should say. My apologies. But how about the Generals? They had a state title from a long time ago in a sport that you may not expect.
1947, the Decatur Macarthur Generals won the state title in boys tennis. So you think Murderers Row Yankees, you think the undefeated Dolphins. I think 1947 Decatur Macarthur boys tennis. So I don't know about you, John.
I think I might have to now at this point. As we're getting ready here for the second half of football, and strap in, folks. This is going to be a wonderful ball game here in the second half, and we got things ready to roll. Glad you're with us on Clutch Sports Media, our Saturday special. Keep an eye on our social media channels as well to announce where we're going to go next week. We're hopefully going to have a decision in the next 24 to 48 hours on where we'll be next week. Could be around here, could take the show on the road and go on a road trip to follow a local team. If Metamora were to face Mount Vernon, they would be on the road. And I believe also if they played Highland, they would be on the road as well. So if you're a 5, 6, 7, or 8 team in the playoffs, you are guaranteed to be on the road in the second round as Metamora picks it up. Cam Nichols slips and falls at the 24, so and not the best field position for the Redbirds, but not the end of the world.
Yeah, Nichols dropped back there. Couldn't really get a read on where the ball was going, struggling to pick it up. Eventually just slipped and knee hits the ground, so he goes down there at about 25, maybe a little bit short of the 25. Not great field position, but plenty of weapons on this Metamora Redbirds offense. See if they can get done here. A huge drive here to start the second half. They put some more points up on the board. That's really going to mess with the confidence of Decatur Macarthur Generals.
Yeah, we're trying to work through some technical difficulties, trying to get our camera back here. We will get it here soon. We'll have something. And not missing much. A delay of game penalty on Metamora, so that'll make it 1st and 15. Now we have it back. 1st and 15 after the delay of game for Metamora. 2 men in motion is Begol and Vasquez. And Cranford is in the backfield. Rhodes hands off to his sophomore. He's going nowhere. Wrapped up right away. It's Myson Johnson Cook this time on defense.
Immediately, Johnson Cook coming back and making us say his name, flying through the gaps in the O-line to take down the running back right at the line of scrimmage, maybe even a little bit before.
I also think this game is probably going to come down to, who can make some negative plays in the rushing game. And MacArthur's defensive line, again, headlined by King Smith, has been pretty good for the most part here today. Cranford, though, gashes them for a gain of about 9 there.
Just what you were talking about, John. Cranford runs right into a swarm of white jerseys, but comes out with 9 positive yards. If he can keep that up, Redbirds are in good shape.
Maybe a passing down from Metamora as they take out their blocking specialist, A.J. Stone, bring in Connor Bidney, an extra receiver. Still have Begol and Vasquez at tight end and H-back respectively. They put both of them in motion. That shifts the MacArthur line. On 3rd down, they will be a keeper for Rhodes, who bounces to the outside, and his big play ability continues to be shown. Pickup of 18 there, and Nick Rhodes, the last 2 weeks rushing the ball, has been some of the best that I have seen in a long time. A guy goes as far as say he's the Lamar Jackson of Peoria High School football.
I wouldn't be inclined to agree. The way he just really sells that handoff to Cranford, and then he just explodes using those strong legs to shoot towards the open field and get a lot of yards every single time.
And they hand off to Cranford, and he breaks a tackle, and he's brought down eventually at the 48-yard line by Brandon Blue. Points for alliteration there, the junior defensive back. And thankfully for the Generals fans out there, he got him by his ankles. Otherwise, Cranford may have been gone. We're at 2nd and medium.
Brandon Blue needed every inch of his body to reach out there and trip up Cranford. Otherwise, he'd be celebrating a touchdown right now, and this place would be roaring.
Been a couple runs today for both teams that have just gotten players who just got tripped up. Balls have gotten tipped away. Remember, Owens had a really good deflection back in the first half. His Cranford's got a big hole here on the left side. Be buying a steak for Landon Cowper and Caden Kiefer after the game for that one. Pick up a 1st down, and Metamora is looking pretty good on their first drive of the second half. Leading 15-14. Their touchdown scorers today are Rhodes and Cranford, both of over 40 yards on the ground, which is what we expected coming into this game, Dalton. I think this game is, for the most part, been about what we'd expect. Both teams running a lot more than they're passing.
Yeah, some of the actual plays have been a little strange for sure, but as far as actual schemes go, not much that goes against what we had.
Cranford going left side again. It'll be brought down at around the arrow next to the 30. That'll be 2nd and very short, so Cranford getting most of the carries here today, Dalton. Again, usually we see him and Kyle kind of split work evenly, and Kyle's had some good carries today as well, but looks like they're going to rely on the shoulders of their young sophomore more so today.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge to have 2 weapons that you can trust to get you yards at any point during any game if you're Metamora.
And Rhodes, another great fake that he's keeping it, and Blue brings him down again. Nick Rhodes is just a wizard with those fake handoffs, and he just keeps it. That option for the Redbirds has just been amazing. The reads that Rhodes been able to make as well have been smart just about every single time as well.
Metamora is really feeling it right now. The offense is clicking coming out of halftime here. Really doing a lot of keepers with Rhodes, handing it off to Cranford, trusting in that big, experienced O-line. Drove right down to the field, almost to the red zone.
First and 10 here from the 11. They hand off to Cranford, running right, tries to string out the MacArthur defense, and he's brought down at the 9-yard line, that time by Kirsten McCoy.
Like the idea, kind of switching it up in a lot of inside runs to Cranford, along with the QB keepers. Like the idea of switching it up, getting Cranford to the outside, sending him towards that pylon, but Kirsten McCoy right there to put an end to it.
And officials blow their whistles briefly, but we're back ready to go here on 2nd and 8. And this is an opportunity. Again, you got to keep an eye on Schaffer, the 6'5" wide receiver. They keep it on the ground. It's Cranford again. He breaks free, dives across the line. Touchdown, Metamora. Now they get a 21-14 game here. What a drive for the Birds. 4 minutes and 32 seconds off the clock, and they go about 76 yards on that drive. That is textbook football coming out of the locker room.
Yeah, it's exactly that. What a drive from Metamora Redbirds coming out of halftime. Really finding the rhythm offensively, really picking up a lot of yards very quickly. O-line really stepped up. That was a crazy play by Cranford there. He had Bishop Smith and Brandon Blue all over him, a couple yards short of the end zone, able to find his way into the end zone for 6.
Kick was close to being blocked, but it goes up and through for Tommy Sopko. Metamora's lead is now 8, so again, for the Generals, you still have a one-possession game, but this 8-point lead is going to probably feel a little bit bigger than 8 points right now, considering how close this game has been. Now it's in the hands of your defense, Dalton, and last week, this Redbirds defense pitched a shutout in the second half against the Dunlap Eagles, and if they can do so again, then they'd be moving on to the second round of the Class 5A playoffs. We'll see what Myson Johnson Cook has to say about that, though.
Big possession here for both teams. Let's see what Coach Grebner has in store for the second half as far as defensive schemes go, because against a team like Decatur Macarthur, we've mentioned it already, but you got to limit those explosive plays. This is a team that is just full of athletes, full of guys that can outrun you and be more physical than you and pick up massive amounts of yards in one play. So hopefully for Metamora Redbirds, they can stop that. They can contain Johnson Cook at the line like they have been for the most part.
Let's see, it'll be Johnson Cook and Woods back deep for MacArthur.
Keep an eye on another onside kick here, John.
Yeah, Metamora's, they've been really going to that today. There's 7 men up for MacArthur. This was more of a pooch kick. It's a line drive and brought in by Jaliri Cliff. That was one of the names that we were wondering if we were going to have to say today. Hopefully we got his pronunciation right, but hangs on to the ball, doesn't bounce off of his pads. And it'll be 1st and 10, MacArthur from the 44.
Decatur Macarthur certainly one of the tougher teams overall to pronounce from an announcer's perspective, but nice job by Cliff there, catching that one in the pads and just immediately going down, not trying anything fancy, not fumbling the ball, just giving his team good field position here with about 7.5 minutes left to go before the third quarter ends.
A lot of all-name candidates on this MacArthur team. You got Sean Kais Danridge, you got Ricardion Blue. Those are fun to say.
Adonijah Dawson. That's
indeed it is. They go end around to Woods. A little flea flicker here, and Seals tries to bring him down from the safety spot, and Woods may have gotten about 1. Interesting fact about Najir Woods is he is the cousin of former Bradley basketball guard Armand Brummett from the late 2010s. Now, that's probably before your time that you were at Bradley Dalton, but Bradley Braves, their season's starting pretty soon as well. Exhibition on Wednesday.
Practices in full swings. Got the exhibition on Wednesday, ready to open up the season at University of Alabama, Birmingham, I believe, on November 9th.
UAB Blazers, that's going to be a good one. Here's France looking deep. He's got Owens over the top, wide open. Busted coverage there for Metamora. Cranford lost him for a second. And Owens catches it at the 15-yard line, so I should say 13. Pick up a 42 for MacArthur, and they really needed that to get in the red zone and threaten to score.
John, that was almost a carbon copy. That first play from scrimmage we saw at the very beginning of this game. France dropping back, looking for Owens. Owens, amazing footwork, amazing concentration. Catching that one right at his chest, coming down with it just outside of the red zone.
I think MacArthur's trying to open up the playbook a little bit, and obviously not leaning exclusively on Myson Johnson. Cook, he's going to the end zone with Woods in coverage. Nice job by Jadon Cranford. He celebrates there, as that was pretty good from the running back, who also doubles as a starting corner as well. Nice job of not picking up the flag on that play.
Yeah, Cranford, not the biggest guy, just 5'9", but really aggressive. And I thought Najir Woods was about to have the catch of the year on that play. Cranford said, not so fast.
So they'll do over 2nd and 10 from the 13. MacArthur moving quickly down the field after Metamora scored to open the third quarter. 2 wide receivers here for the team in blue and white. They hand it off, or it's rather a keeper for France. He picks up about half of what he needed to get to the end zone. And they'll make it 3rd and 4-ish unofficially. And now what do you do here? I mean, you throw it in the end zone. You're probably looking for Owens. Also give it to Johnson Cook. Also try and keep it as well. Lots of possibilities for MacArthur.
I know I would trust in my senior QB, Cameron France. I would definitely look to Owens first. And maybe sent him on a fade towards that back pylon. We'll see.
And it will be a QB keeper again, but this time France is going nowhere. He's pile driven back. And forward progress is stopped. Cam Nickel was one of the first ones in there for Metamora. He's been a stud linebacker for the Redbirds this year.
As you said, Nickel the first one there. Great job by the Redbirds to follow in his footsteps and get there. Make sure big Cameron France can't plow through the line of scrimmage and get any more yards. Drive him all the way back. Big 4th down here for both sides, it seems.
And we'll see what the play call is from Derek Spates in the general silence. This one could end up being a defining play in the game. 4th and 4 from the 7. This is reminiscent of where Metamora fumbled in the same exact spot, and Rhodes picked it back up for a touchdown last week. They hand out to Johnson Cook. He's hit at the 5. I don't think he's going to get there, but he's going to be very close. From our angle, he got his second effort in there. He's going to be really close to the sticks. They may bring out the chain gang.
Metamora says they're going to be taking over on downs here. I don't believe that Johnson Cook got there, but as you said, that second effort is going to make it very, very tough to tell.
They're going to take a look at it and see. And they will bring out the chain gang here, so they try and get that measurement here. This is going to be really close.
A huge call in the game. Got to make sure you get it right. He's short. He's definitely short, John.
Just short by less than a foot. So close for Myson Johnson Cook. But the Metamora Redbirds defense does just enough to stop the freshman phenom on 4th down and 4 from the 7.
Now, I know Metamora's got pretty much the length of the field to go here, but if they can score a touchdown that puts them up by 2 scores, it really hurts the confidence of the Generals.
I think, you have to have a lot of mental toughness to come back from a 2-score deficit in the playoffs on the road. Anytime that you're up by 2 scores, I feel like, that's kind of, a really an X factor of a point in the game, because, one team's gaining momentum, the other team is losing it. You have to do whatever you can to try and change that, and now this MacArthur defense has to try and stop the Metamora momentum here on 1st and 10 from their own 4. They'll keep it with Rose. He bounces outside across the 10, across the 15. Another big run from the Redbirds QB to give them some breathing room.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, John. That QB keeper again with Nick Rhodes picking up a 1st down and a couple more. A little bit slow to get up. They're going to send trainers out there, hopefully just a stinger.
And that is Rhodes down at the moment, so
Perhaps
he's helped up
cramp.
fairly quickly as he limps off on the sidelines. Now he's all right. Now he's jogging off, so. And you get a stat update right now. Rhodes and Cranford combined at the moment have 292 yards. That's just 6 short of Metamora's total rushing mark last week of 298 against Dunlap.
Really haven't seen the ball in the hands of too many other Redbirds aside from Rhodes and Cranford. We saw Kyle has had a couple great runs by himself, but really the motor that really drives this team, obviously, we're seeing it full force here today.
First and 10 they give to Kyle, and he picks up a couple. I know those runs, may not be the most exciting plays ever. You feel like, it's only getting up 3 or so yards, but it helps keep, kind of maybe lulls the defense to sleep a little bit. Maybe can allow Metamora to maybe throw one over the top, as we mentioned, looking for a big pass play here in the second half. And also just, also wear out your defense as well.
Yeah, wearing out that MacArthur defense is definitely going to be something to keep an eye on because they do have so many players that go both ways.
Kyle bounces to the left side. He's got the sideline. It's an angle. He's knocked out by Owens. That's going to be a first down. Metamora pickup of 8 on 2nd and 6 for Evan Kyle. Kyle came into today with 582 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns. And Cranford earlier in the game broke the 1,000 yard mark on the season, and again, just a sophomore for Metamora. If Rose can get 54 passing yards, he'd break 1,000 for the year as well. And they hand off to Kyle. Not much doing on that first down. He's wrapped up there by Micah King, the senior defensive lineman at number 33.
For Metamora, keep going to the run game. You don't really have any reason to try anything fancy with Rhodes' arm. Don't really need to throw it right now. I'd say keep handing it to Cranford, keep handing it to Kyle. They both had great games. This offensive line is on a roll. They're feeling it. I'd say just keep handing it off. Looks like that's what they're going to do.
Only just one wide receiver, and Rhodes keeps it again, and he tried to flip the football, and it right into the hands of Bishop Smith. The freshman comes away with it, and I don't know if that ball was punched out or if that was a designed pitch, and I couldn't tell from here, but that just fell right in the lap of Bishop Smith, who said, I'll take that.
Yeah, I believe Rhodes was just trying to make a move, get around the defense, literally just threw it up in the air, lost control of it right into the chest of big Bishop Smith. Just like that, this game turns on its head. And Decatur Macarthur, great field position to tie this one up.
They certainly do, as now the ball at the 34-yard line. Now, can they finish the drive off? That's been the main thing. They've stalled a bit when they've gotten to the red zone so far today, but if they can punch one in, we could have a one-score, maybe even a tie game. We already have a one-score game, but a tie game possibly heading into the fourth quarter. King Smith in motion. They hand off to Bison Johnson Cook, and he's wrapped up at the ankles. Nice job by Cam Nickel, a junior linebacker for Metamora, who has been swarming around the field all season long.
Metamora continues to stop Bison Johnson Cook. As far as just the basic runs up the middle go, Johnson Cook hasn't had too many big plays, picked up a couple first downs, but nothing crazy for him. Metamora needs to keep that up for sure.
2nd and 10 now from the 34. They've done a nice job of containing Johnson Cook. And there's going to be a false start on MacArthur. So he hit the fumble, but then a rush for 0 yards and then a penalty flag. So that'll push him back. Not what you want. And this is crunch time really for MacArthur. We mentioned that some of these players, they have some playoff experience from last year. Much different experience, I would say, first facing Peoria High versus facing Metamora. You're a year older, maybe an opponent who is still dangerous on offense, but maybe doesn't run the same style as Peoria High. They go 2nd and 15, and Francis going deep for his man Owens. And it's knocked away by Grebner, but they throw the flag. And I think they're going to get Grebner because he wasn't looking back towards the football.
No, Grebner just had his eyes on Owens, reached out, made contact, pushed him over before that football got there. That's absolutely defensive pass interference. That's going to set up the Generals very well.
And he'll say pass interference against Metamora, so that'll be a 15-yard penalty, and that will give MacArthur a first down. Now at the 24. Grebner's, very good cornerback for Metamora, Dalton, and again, just couldn't quite turn his head back and, make a play on the ball and try and, you got to look up towards it.
Yep,
you can't just focus on just the receiver.
Never turned around, tried to see where that ball was going, make a play on the ball, just went straight for the body of Owens, and that's got to get called every single time.
Look at Grebner, and not really a huge cornerback at 5'9", as is his counterpart Jadon Cranford. Don't have an official height on MacArthur's roster for Sam Owens, but I think he does have a couple inches on him on that matchup.
I'd go back to Owens here, John.
We'll see if he does. 1st and 10, looking other side. He's going to Najir Woods, and it's incomplete. That was in tough coverage as well. A little bit more of a dangerous pass there from France, and the ball is just underthrown a bit. Now they get 2nd and 10.
Yeah, I don't mind the play call. That's just good defense. Harris really could not, Woods could not get away from any of the defenders that were trailing him. That's why that one fell incomplete.
So 2nd and 10 here for MacArthur, and again, important they don't stall out here. I think, you gotta, give it to the guy who, again, didn't solely get you here, but the guy who's been your workhorse all season long in Myson Johnson Cook. This is his first ever playoff game. He's getting some great experience here in a high leverage situation. And we're going to time out from Derek Spates and the Generals. They want to talk things over. For the Generals, and real quick, we'll remind you that you should head on over to CSM Overtime at clutchsportsil.com/overtime. It's right there on our home page. We'll have recaps and coverage from all of the football games around the area this weekend. Again, a couple teams in action here today. And also photo galleries as well. And we'll also be covering, coming on the stretch, and also other sports as well. Obviously, this is a weekend where we're focusing on football, but you have sectional cross country happening today. You had Peoria Notre Dame beat Dunlap in a big-time sectional final in Class 2A. Morton losing 21-6 in the second quarter to Providence Catholic right now. That would, I would say, being from Central Illinois rather than being from Chicago, I would call that an upset for sure. It certainly is one seeding-wise. The Potters ranked, they're the number 2 seed in Class 5A, and Providence the 15 seed. Keep an eye on that. France is looking. Now he's going for Owens, a jump ball, and it's through Owens' hands. He can't believe it. Good coverage there from Seals at safety, and Owens, again, he had the size advantage to jump over Seals and almost moss him. Just couldn't bring it in.
I think that was obviously the intention. France put it right on the money. Owens just tried to use that height advantage over Seals to go on top of him and literally catch the ball in his head and moss him in and out of the hands. Owens will tell you that he should have had that one.
Every member of Metamora's secondary, Dalton, is listed at 5'9". Cranford, Petrie, Seals, and Grebner. So opportunity, if you have a tall receiver, it's is one of the very few amounts of physical weaknesses for the Redbirds. 3rd and 10, crowd on their feet and stomping. They're passing. France is looking. Now he's going to try and keep it. He's trying to get some blocks, and he's going to throw it. And it's to Woods, is knocked away. A near interception for Metamora. Nick Rhodes with the pass breakup. So how about the quarterback playing some defense? Maybe they're bringing him in to add some size at 6 foot in the secondary. Now 4th and 10 for MacArthur.
Yeah, I don't mind that play call for Metamora coming out and putting Nick Rhodes at defensive back. Very clearly paid off there. He was right there to make that play. Probably should have intercepted that one, but I don't think Metamora cares too much about that right now. Big 4th down here for the Generals.
Yeah, really got to credit Fritz for just getting rid of that ball because it looked like he was going to be brought down for a surefire sack. But can the Generals finally convert on a 4th down in Metamora territory? They go to Owens, and he can't bring it in. The normally sure-handed receiver drops 2 balls on that series.
Rough.
And he is going to be upset after that. I can guarantee that. And that's going to give the ball back to Metamora after Macarthur got great field possession at Metamora's 34-yard line.
Rough drive for Owens and the Generals after that fumble that was recovered by Bishop Smith. Very, very unfortunate. You really wanted to score any amount of points there, would have given you some more confidence and some more momentum as this third quarter is almost ready to end. But Metamora is going to take over the football again.
I think that drop was maybe a bit more on Owens than maybe great coverage, but you got to give credit to Metamora's red zone defense lately. It's been stout. And they give it to Kyle. He's got a burst of speed running downhill up across the 44, maybe the 45. Gain of 20 yards there, and that drive for Macarthur took a bit of time on the clock, allowed Cranford and Kyle to get some breathing time on the sidelines, and I think Kyle, his stamina is still probably at 100 right now.
Sure seemed like it on that play, with Kyle right up the middle. Saw about 4 white jerseys and just cut right in between all of them, pick up a couple extra yards. Gain of 20, as you mentioned, here about 1:17 left in this third quarter.
Time winding down. Again, Metamora got a big score, a 9-yard touchdown from Jadon Cranford at the 7:28 mark of the third to extend their 15-14 halftime lead. Kyle bouncing outside, and he's going to be brought down by Owens. 6-on-6 violence there as a pickup of just 1.
Hard hit there by Owens. And all game long, really, Decatur Macarthur has definitely done a good job when those red jerseys do get outside away from all the linemen and towards the sidelines. They've done a really good job with using their speed and their smarts of getting out there and pushing them out of bounds or taking them down.
So a ball at the 46.5-yard line. Look at Macarthur crowding the box here. Again, no wide receivers for Metamora. They're going to run this, I would almost be guaranteed. And they go outside with Cranford. He's got some blockers, and he's hurdled at the 44. He's somersaulted, rather. And that ball came out, but thankfully for the Redbirds, it went straight out of bounds.
Yeah, 2 guys right there to hit Cranford. Just a sophomore, very, very hard. Twirls in the air and falls, luckily, got up. He's perfectly fine. That ball did come out, John. Luckily, lots of velocity. It went directly out of bounds.
Cranford almost flipped in the air, brought down, not sure who that was from MacArthur, but that was Sam Owens again on defense. So, again, another great two-way player for MacArthur, but the Generals go deep in Metamora territory but can't convert on 2 occasions in the third. Metamora, however, is able to convert on their long scoring drive to start the half. 9-yard touchdown from Jadon Cranford, and they now lead 22-14 with 12 minutes left to play here at Malone Field in Metamora. Well, this one has been all you could ask for in the first round of the Class 5A playoffs, and that was so good to see, a close playoff game in the first round. Sometimes in the first round you see, just because of maybe some, seeding, so the seeding falls, maybe you get a team that isn't as strong as one seed, and you got a really good team that's maybe the lower seed, or maybe a team that is like a 7-10 game, and the 7 seed is really, really good, and 10 seed maybe not so much, and it could be a blowout game, but this one is probably going to be one of the more exciting games across the state, I think, today.
Absolutely, John. You see across all classes of high school football here in Illinois, you see all those 5 and 4 teams, or maybe the lucky 4 and 5 teams that sneak into the playoffs. They get matched up with all the 9 and 0 teams, right? So that's why you see when you're scrolling through IHSA.com later today, looking at all the scores for your games today. That's why you're going to see, there's going to be, your 60-0s, your 63-7s, and 57-7s, and stuff like that. Those are going to happen. It's unfortunately just part of the game, just how the seeding goes. But very, very good matchup here today, and we're lucky we're here to cover it.
Another close game brewing in the other game. It has impacts on this one, as Mount Vernon is trailing Highland 14-21 in the fourth quarter. So it's a very similar game to that. Again, if Highland were to win, and Metamora would be on the road down near close to the St. Louis area. Mount Vernon also in the southern portion of the state as well. So either way, we're facing a team from Southern Illinois, but the Rams coming at 6-3, Highland at 8-1.
I would expect a game just like this one from whatever the matchup may be out of the 4 possibilities. I would expect a game to be very close, just as this one is, between whoever ends up in that matchup.
A handoff here to Kyle on 2nd and 9. Pick up a couple here, and this brings up a big 3rd down stop, Dalton. You don't want to test your luck too much and, get really down to under 5 minutes in the game and still be down a score. If MacArthur can get a stop here, get the ball back, and go down and march down for a score, you feel a little bit better about yourself than putting all the pressure on to have a scoring drive in the last minute or 2 of the game if that were to happen. So defense needs to step up here on 3rd and 5.
Yes, and generally, no pun intended, generally, when you're losing in the 4th quarter of a playoff game, you just want to get your offense on the field and your defense off the field as fast as you can. That's what the Generals are trying to do right now.
Rhodes with the keeper, and this time MacArthur's ready for it. They push him back once he got to the 35-yard line. Rhodes needed the 33.5, so this is 4th and a decision for Jared Grebner and the Redbirds. Do you play field position here and try and pin him deep, or you just go for it? Looks like they will go for it as they bring Kyle back in the game now along with Cranford. I'm
QB keeping it right here. If I'm Metamora, just put the ball in the hands of Rhodes. He's just gotten yards after yards after yards. Every time you've done that QB keeper, I think it can pick up 2, keep this drive alive.
Especially with 2 backs in the backfield, they may be thinking that MacArthur would put all the focus on them. Rhodes can't be the forgotten man here. They will go to Cranford, and he's going to be hit before the line, but he powers through, gets down to the 31. Gutsy run there on 4th down for the sophomore. Metamora keeps the drive alive.
Nice job by Cranford lowering that shoulder. Gets that bigger defender just going right into him, falling forward, picks up the 1st down. It's going to allow Metamora, even if they don't score, to chew a lot more time off the clock. The clock is their friend right now, definitely the enemy of Decatur Macarthur.
It certainly is, and you're definitely not in clock bleeding territory yet, but the more time of possession you have, the more it helps you keep the ball out of the hands of Myson Johnson Cook, Cameron France, and Sam Owens. Metamora could take this down to about 7 minutes if they can get to 3rd down. Cranford not really going much of anywhere, but still carrying his defender across the 30. Got a great push, making something out of nothing. And again, these gains of 3 and 4 yards that Metamora's had on the ground, Dalton, against the old adage of 3 yards in a cloud of dust. But I mean, you just do enough of those, and then you break a big one. Those 3 or 4 yard runs have done a lot for Metamora today.
We've seen a lot of it from both teams, but specifically Metamora. They really haven't gone to the air at all in this one. They're using Kyle, they're using Cranford, and they're using those QB keepers from Rhodes. And as of now, it's working. As we're in the 4th quarter with about 8.5 minutes left to go in this one, it's working right now. So I don't really see a reason to pass the ball, because then you run the risk of an interception, or if you throw an incompletion, the clock also stops, which wouldn't be great.
As our Cody Roskin says, if you throw the ball, 4 things can happen, and 3 of them are bad, so you may as well keep it on the ground. They hand it off to Cranford, a nice run up here, and the ball comes out. Before the play, I was just about to mention ball security has got to be key for Metamora. Cranford's had the ball come out a couple times today, and that one is going to be just short of the 1st down marker, so another 3rd and short coming up for Metamora.
Yeah, not sure if it's the weather or maybe just playoff jitters getting to the sophomore Cranford. But had himself a great game. Luckily, that one came out. It was just right next to his helmet. Reached out there with that left arm, pulled it in. 3rd and short for the Redbirds.
And if you're a MacArthur, you really just got to be punching at the football now. Watching some Peanut Tillman highlight tapes maybe on the sidelines. 3rd and 2. Rhodes with the keeper. Has space. And he's on down to the near side inside the 10 before he's wrestled out by Sam Owens. Again, that QB keeper has just been so lethal for the Redbirds today. MacArthur just still cannot figure it out.
There's just really no pattern to Metamora's play calling right now. Yeah, they're all runs. Sometimes it's to Kyle. Sometimes it's to Cranford. Sometimes they go to the outside. And then times like that, Rhodes fakes everybody out, just explodes towards the outside, uses those legs to get a lot of yards into the red zone for the Redbirds.
I think we saw yesterday that teams that run well usually fare well at the playoffs. P&D, obviously, they run the wing T. They won yesterday. Joliet Catholic as a older style offense, as well as they hand off to Rhodes, and he's very close to get in. He may have stretched out, and he's at the 1. He tried to extend the ball beyond the plane, but not quite.
Nice job by Myson Johnson Cooks shooting over across the end zone, pushing out Rhodes before he could break the plane. We have an injured general there at about the 5-yard line.
And we have a downed MacArthur player with his helmet off. Looks to be in some pain. Don't quite know who that is, but hope he's all right. What a drive being put together, though, by Metamora, Dalton. I mean, you're burning time off the clock, and looks like, again, you're just 1 yard away from scoring. So this MacArthur defense has to make a stand of some sort. Either that or their offense just has to go down and score really quick to keep themselves in the game. If they don't do either of these things, I think Metamora is going to win this one.
Absolutely. Cannot agree more. And it's also having a short memory. If you're a Metamora Redbird, Rhodes on the QB keeper, tried to make a move, ball popped out, went right to the defense, and set up Decatur Macarthur with great field position. But the defense of the Redbirds steps up and is like, it's all right, mistakes happen. We're going to go out here, we're going to make a stand, we're going to get this ball back and keep this momentum, and more importantly, keep this lead.
That was Brandon Blue, the shaken up general. He is able to walk off the field under his own power, so that's good to see there from the junior DB who's made some tackles today. Now 2nd and 1 from the 1. Don't think he has a secret of what Metamora is going to do here. It's Petrie, the direct snap, plunges in, and Metamora has padded their lead just a bit more with just over 7 minutes to play here in the 4th quarter.
Petrie, like you said it right before the snap, there's no doubt that's what they were going to go to. It is, I don't know if I want to say unstoppable, but it sure as heck looks that way. Both times that we've seen Petrie with the ball in this one, just taking it right in, pass the defense to the back of the end zone. Looks like extra point will be attempted here by the Redbirds, trying to make it 29-14.
Anytime you see Petrie going for the direct snap, it's usually not much of a question of what's going to happen as wind affects that one a little bit. Nice little right to left curve, just like my golf shot as it goes through the uprights, and it's 29-14 Metamora over the MacArthur Generals, the number 11 seed coming out of the Central State 8 Conference. And again, coming in with a 5-game win streak, you got to figure out, I think at this point, Dalton, how to regain that momentum and just play how you did the last couple 5 weeks. You're playing a different opponent, and I'm sure they haven't seen many opponents that have just ran like Metamora has today. But
for Coach Spates and the Generals, it is time to dig deep. This is your entire season you're talking about here. This is everything you work for. You do not want to have such an early exit out of the IHSA playoffs. So you have to dig deep. You have to find a way to move the ball and do it fast. And remember, folks, Decatur Macarthur is down by 15, meaning if they do get 2 touchdowns and 2 stops to tie this, or to try to tie this game, they'll have to go for a 2-point conversion on one of them and get it. Keep that in mind as we go forward.
And I think you have to kick the PAT after the first touchdown. Otherwise, you're still down 9, and you're still down 2 possessions.
Certainly, that's what I would do.
Short kick here from Sopko, and it's picked up by Jamor Singleton, and he's pushed out by the 34. Not much of a return. Metamora not electing to go with the onside. That would have given MacArthur good field position if they were able to recover it. So that's probably not a bad call there from Jared Grebner. Don't kick it too deep. Don't allow too big of a return, but also don't give him good field position either.
Yeah, I like that idea. Just for reasons you said, you don't want to onside kick it. Also don't want to kick it to Myson Johnson Cook. So just find a happy medium there. Play some defense.
Let's see if MacArthur can find that happy medium. They've been passing a little bit more here in the 4th quarter and also the 3rd as well, but they have got to get a big play from somebody, whether that's Owens, Johnson Cook. And they hand off to the freshman who comes down with a big downhill speed. The ball is out. Who's got it? And it looks like Metamora does. Johnson Cook had all the speed in the world, but he forgot to hang on to the football. It's Metamora ball. That could be the dagger this afternoon.
Full-headed steam for Johnson Cook, just bulldozing his way to the first down marker. Not sure if somebody punched it or if he just flat out dropped it when he got hit. That ball came out. Great job by Red Jerseys to swarm it. And I do think that is going to be the dagger here. 7 minutes, 13 seconds remain in this one. Metamora can go into full chew clock mode right now.
And if you're MacArthur, again, it's tough for your defense. You just give up a ton of rushes and a rushing touchdown to Stephen Petrie. Now they got to come right back on the field, getting virtually no rest, and do it all over again. This time they have to stop him. They hand off to Kyle here, who's got some blocks, but then wrapped up. First man there was Jaden Drake. Pick up of about 3. Yeah, but Metamora, Dalton, may not play the most exciting brand of football, just all these run plays, but it's effective, and it's worked for 6 weeks in a row.
Definitely not the most exciting brand of football, but, I mean, if you're a fan of Metamora, you don't care. You're 7-2, about to walk away with a win in this one. And move on to IHSA playoffs and head to either Mount Vernon or
Highland.
Highland was the other one. Highland or Mount Vernon next Saturday.
And up to Kyle, and a big tackle there. That one was necessary from MJC, Johnson Cook. No gain, I should say, or a gain of 1, they'll call it, on second down.
MacArthur, your only hope right now is a 3-and-out or a turnover. I think if Metamora gets a first down, that's going to allow them to take a couple more minutes off the clock. And this is a 2-score game, folks. I don't really know if there's any hope left in this one for the Generals.
I think there certainly is. I mean, Metamora has fumbled a couple times, so if you're able to maybe pounce on it, just like Metamora was just able to do, is they're going to keep it with Rhodes, and he gets another first down. Whenever Metamora needs a big first down conversion, they know who to call, and it's their quarterback, Nick Rhodes.
It is time and time again. Rhodes with that QB keeper. I've said it so many times. Feels like he gets a first down and more every single time. I can only remember one off the top of my head where he didn't. Big reason why Metamora is more than likely going to walk out of here with a W in this one.
I feel like you've been watching almost the same exact couple plays for the last couple quarters, but obviously they are all different, but a lot of the same results for the Redbirds here in the second half is they'll get an extra couple minutes with the clock. Now Cranford bounces out to the outside, gets past Owens, then tripped up just before the 20.
Major props to head coach Jared Grebner and offensive coordinator Nick Delinsky for the Redbirds to find out what works for them and find out, like, even though they're running the same 3-4 plays and they're all runs, you see that it's working. You're getting first downs, take your time off the clock. You're winning the football game, and there's only 5 minutes left to go. So props to them for figuring out something that works for them.
Score update briefly from Morton. It appears to still be 21-6, Providence Catholic leading, so Potters on their heels at the moment. Still some time to play. That game kicked off at 2 p.m. Hands off to Evan Kyle. Short gain there on second down, so he's going to be just a bit short, and I think MacArthur, they got to get a big TFL here on 3rd and 1, maybe 3rd and inches.
Yeah, and probably call it 3rd and 1, but either way, it doesn't matter. MacArthur has to step up. You can just see the way they're standing. They're tired, but they have got to step up and get the ball back in the hands of their offense.
Time winding down, now close to 4 minutes left at Malone Field. It's been all Metamora in the second half. Direct snap goes to Petrie running right, and he is going to get the first down and more.
Flag
as a flag down. That could be really beneficial for MacArthur. You haven't seen many flags today, Dalton, but that one could. And it's a hold against Metamora, so that really benefits the Generals and will make it a 3rd and 11.
First down would have really, really hurt the Generals, but holding call is going to bring the Redbirds back. Still some hope for the Generals.
So now the defense will get a second chance, and maybe they'll need to stop him even again if Metamora elects to go for it on 4th down. And the way you're running the ball, you figure you may as well. Worst that can happen is they give him the ball back with being down 2 scores with under 4 minutes to play.
3:48 left to go in this one. Metamora taking their sweet time.
Play clock now down at 12. They can hike it at 3.5 minutes if they bleed it all the way out. They send Kyle out, and now Rhodes is running right. He's got some open space, and Nick Rhodes is going to run this one in, and Metamora is going to run into the second round of the 5A playoffs. That should do it. Nick Rhodes fittingly finishes it off. And with that, Nick Rhodes is now the leading rusher for Metamora in this game.
What do you know? Nick Rhodes directly takes a snap, QB keeper, straight to the back of the end zone. Massive gain, massive play, and a massive dagger straight to the hearts of Decatur Eisenhower, or Decatur Macarthur.
I will say about one thing about MacArthur is they are clearly the better team in Decatur. Eisenhower has been mired in some struggles recently, but it looks like the general season is hanging on by the slimmest of threads at the moment. They would need an absolute miracle to come back from this one. Just not able to get a stop from their defense when they needed it. And Sopko's PAT just barely clears the crossbar. And that'll make it 36-14.
The score remains how it is right now. It's really not going to tell the whole story, because this was not I don't really feel like this is a blowout game by any means. Definitely the scoreboard does not tell all of the story in this one.
And just such a similar game compared to last week. You know, Metamora, close game in the first half, 1 point game at halftime. And then they just run away in the second half, literally, with their run game. And also they just lock down on defense. Familiar scenes for Metamora, and also familiar scenes as well. It looks like they'll be heading to the second round of the 5A playoffs for the second year in a row under head coach Jared Grebner.
It's Metamora and this program as a whole, no strangers to going deep in the playoffs. Coach Grebner and Redbird fans all around the area hoping that this year is no different as they take their squad into either Highland or Mount Vernon next Saturday.
We'll keep an eye on that final score as Sopko sends away the mid-range boot. And it's fumbled. Metamora could fall on it, but it looks like Jamore Singleton was able to get back on it. So, I mean, you're climbing up Mount Everest, and you're probably trying to climb up Mount Everest in a 24-hour time span, Dalton. But if you can get maybe a one-play score, a deep pass to Owens or a big run from Johnson Cook, you give yourself a chance, but I think you would still need to either recover an onside kick or get a turnover as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be your only chance in this one. And the good thing is for the Generals, we've seen France do it. We've seen him target Sam Owens, use that size advantage, use the strength of France's right arm. I don't really know if they would even consider doing anything other than that right now, but we'll see what Coach Spates has drawn up for the Generals.
Highland leading 28-14 now with about 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. France is looking to pass deep. He's going for Woods in double coverage, and it's overthrown. Woods has been covered up pretty good all day today. Owens has gotten open more often, but again, you kind of go back to those two balls that he almost could have caught back in the third quarter. One of them he just straight up dropped. The other one was just kind of almost through his hands almost on the that pass where he almost mossed Avery Grebner.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Owens, the senior, playing in his final football game. What a career, what a season, what a game that Owens has had for his general squad. Don't want him to be remembered just for those two drop passes, but also at the same time, you can't help but think how this outcome would be different if he did make those catches.
And Owens' football career certainly won't be over. He's got interest from Valparaiso and Lindenwood. It's a flea flicker here for the Generals. They break a tackle out across the 40-yard line, so all said and done, only a pickup of about 6. Interesting play call there as we now get down to the 3-minute mark.
France showing a little bit of mobility there. Had some 4-5 red jerseys in the backfield, able to evade them and pick up some positive yardage.
It's now 3rd and 3, although it may as well be second down. It's obvious 4th down territory, but the bigger enemy for MacArthur right now is that clock. Metamora's got one deep safety as they'll hand off, or it's a keeper for France, who does pick up the first. But you don't have all the time in the world. It is ticking. I think you got to take a deep shot sooner or later and just trust your receiver Owens to make him win a size matchup on the sideline.
Yep, at some point you just got to step back, use your body, and let one loose towards Owens, your top receiver.
France is looking in his direction, but now he's got Woods over the middle. Nice throw and catch there. A gain of 16 or 18 yards, I should say. The clock stops temporarily. If this is a two-score game, Dalton, I think MacArthur would still have a chance. They do have 2 timeouts. Oh, it's a 3-score game. It's going to be extremely difficult. France is going to go for it all, looking for Woods again, and he brings it in near the sideline at the 2. If MacArthur could have done this a little bit earlier, Dalton, this may have been a much closer game, but they may get this one, but they're going to still need some work if they can punch it in.
I think that was best throw of the game from either sides. France to Woods there towards the pylon, just 4 or so yards short of end zone. Looks
That's
like they're
going
going
to
to
be
bring it
all
back.
for naught as there's an illegal man downfield on the Generals. So wipe out that big throw and catch from Cameron France to Najir Woods.
Don't believe it's going to end up mattering, but that's definitely going to leave a sour taste in your mouth if you're a fan of the Generals.
Yeah, it looks like their season will be coming to a close in the first round for the second straight year. But again, I think how they finished the season and the wins that they were able to get this year. Again, they beat Glenwood 14-12, and that's a very good Glenwood team who is beating Bloomington pretty good right now. And they also beat Sacred Heart Griffin as well. A nice win for them. Obviously, Cyclones a little bit of a down year comparatively speaking, but still very good. The down year for them is a really good year for a lot of other squads as well. They'll hand off to Bison Johnson Cook up to about the 35-yard line.
Yeah, overall, just don't hang your heads if you're a MacArthur or Decatur Macarthur General. Lots to smile about, lots going forward to keeping your head going forward for the next season and beyond that. Lots to be happy about for sure.
And France is going to pass deep again to Woods. Is tipped away by Petrie. He almost came away with a one-handed pick. That would have been the final candle on the birthday cake for the Redbirds.
Funny enough, I think if Petrie just let that one go, Nick Rhodes was right behind him awaiting the football, so it probably would have been an interception. Luckily for the Redbirds, I don't think it's going to end up mattering, but
and a final score coming out of Highland. The Bulldogs win 35-14, so it appears at the moment that Metamora will be headed south next week to face the now 9-1 Bulldogs. Metamora will head into that one at 8-2, winners of 6 in a row.
What a game that is going to be, John. That is going to be very high scoring, probably close.
France is looking for Owens and not a catchable ball. So it'll be 4th down now for the Generals. If they convert, they can maybe get a score just to maybe have some pride. If not, Metamora's going to kneel this one out. We'll try and get another score for the Morton game. Again, Morton is in Metamora's quadrant, so depending on who wins between Morton and Providence Catholic will have an impact. As we get a score here, a real quick in soccer, Peoria Christian is headed to the state tournament. They beat Johnsburg 4-1. I had a story on the Chargers and their sectional title victory earlier in the week on CSM Overtime. I encourage you to check that one out. And it's 21-14. Morton got a touchdown. And a big-time sack for Ty Dykes. That will do it. And that's just a summary of the second half for MacArthur. And the second half also for Metamora as well. Just nothing doing for the Generals offense.
Metamora defense just really stepping up. We talked about it at halftime that they were going to have to. They're going to have to stop giving up these big plays to MacArthur. That's exactly what they did. Something just clicked. Everybody on that defense just really, really locked in. Played an incredible second half of football on both sides, but especially that defense.
Morton's made now a 21-14 game, and it wasn't able to get that score updated in before that last play, so Powders are making it close. Keep an eye on that one down at Carper Field. And the Redbirds will enter the best formation in football, the victory formation. It will be their 6th in a row. And again, it's going to be such a hard team to beat just because they have all that confidence now. And they really limited a MacArthur offense that was just firing on all cylinders. I know a lot of people picked the Generals as a popular upset pick because of how good they were playing, and Metamora just stopped them in their tracks today.
Yep, well-deserved victories. Metamora Redbirds going to be heading to Highland on Saturday. Try and continue their road to Bloomington. Just lots to be happy about, honestly, for both sides, even though Decatur did come up losing this one. It's always sad when you have two teams you really feel deserve to play another weekend of football. I really feel for these seniors as well. This was a lot closer than the scoreboard tells. It's really unfortunate that it did end up in kind of a blowout. I use that term loosely. So unfortunate Decatur's season comes to an end, but what a win for Metamora. So much momentum, so much to be happy about, so much to build on heading into Highland on Saturday.
I would certainly agree there. As if Metamora can win against Highland, they'd make their first quarterfinal appearance since 2016. And with every passing week, it feels like this Redbirds team has the possibility to be even more and more special. That rushing attack and their defense is going to be a very deadly combo as they advance into the second round of the Class 5A playoffs. And also Dalton against the final football game of their high school career for a lot of MacArthur seniors, including you got Sam Owens. Again, he'll be playing at the next level. A couple of mistakes today, but again, don't want to have that define him as well. Cameron France, also his final high school game. Really impressive. Good decision making from him all day long. He delivered some deep balls that just weren't quite there. And again, sometimes it's just not your day. It's tough to make the long road trip against a playoff worthy team like Metamora and beat them on the road. But MacArthur, really again, like you said, I think this game is a lot closer than the scoreboard indicated. It was really still in doubt all the way up until the fourth quarter, but some big scores for the Redbirds. Stephen Petrie capped it off, and then Jadon Cranford, though, that 9-yard touchdown run was also big, as well as the Redbirds run towards a student section celebration. Myson Johnson Cook lays at midfield in despair. Can't believe that. Rather, that's Najir Woods, visibly upset after that one. But tough one for MacArthur, but again, so much for this Generals team to be happy about and build off for next year. It's a team that really watching the always competitive Central State 8. Woods, though, he'll have a chance to do it again next year. He's a junior, so I expected that would maybe be a senior or someone landing on the field. But it shows how much that means to Woods of MacArthur as well. And you also got King Smith, key lineman for them, playing his final game. A couple other seniors as well. Micah King, Jamari Tenen as well. Jamarion Singleton, Dante Cooper, Jamarion Ricks, Taquan Millsap. Their careers end here in Metamora, but the Redbirds, they keep their season alive for one more week. Should be a good one down at Highland. We'll have to see where we're at next week, but whether we're there or not, we know that's going to be a great game.
Absolutely. You do feel for these seniors, for Decatur MacArthur Generals, but back-to-back early exits out of the playoffs, but Coach Spates has his team trending in the right direction. Yes, they did lose a good chunk of seniors. They will absolutely be back next year. I firmly believe that this is a playoff team next year. And Metamora and Highland, that's going to be arguably the game of the playoffs. Definitely has potential to be, at the very least. Bulldogs and the Redbirds in Highland. Yeah, I would love to go do that one, John. That's a little bit of a drive.
We'll see. We've taken the show on the road before. Again, it'll kind of depend on who all wins, what the brackets look like, and everything like that. But should be another great week of high school football next week. Again, playoffs are just getting started. We got about a month left before the end of the season. So it's just the second season of football. A great time to be a high school football fan. Even better if you're a Metamora Redbirds fan. They dominate on the ground today, over 300 yards. 2 touchdowns from Rhodes on the ground, 2 from Cranford, 1 from Petrie. And that was the story of the game for the Redbirds. That about wraps it up from Malone Field. For all of our great crew at Clutch Sports Media, our camera operator Patrick Huber dealing with technical difficulties today. Glad you stuck with us on Clutch Sports Media. And also our producer Josh Messenger and our social media sideline reporter, photographer.
He does it all, folks.
Swiss Army knife Gavin Russell, halftime analyst as well. And my broadcast partner Dalton Carmine. I'm Jonathan Michael saying so long from Metamora. We'll hope to talk to you next week on Clutch Sports Media. Metamora flight on in the second round of the Class 5A playoffs. Have a good weekend, folks. Talk to you next week.